All right, so I think we're live. So if anyone's here with us, thank you for joining here tonight. And thank you guys for joining on this Saturday evening. I know, it's the weekend, but you made some time for this stream. So, by the way, before we get into the intros, guys, anyone watching tonight, we will be doing a top five favorite films from the 1960s. And I have two amazing guests here tonight. And I guess you guys want to do some quick intros. I know first, Nathan, you want to start off, just kind of like introduce yourself. I know you have a channel. I don't know if you want to talk about that, kind of talk what you're about.
Yeah, for sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Nathan. My channel is Maple Street Movies. Really excited to be on the channel, Eddie. I know that we've interacted for, I think, for years. We've interacted with each other. And so I'm happy that I get to be a guest on the channel, talk about favorite 60s movies tonight, and just looking forward to our conversation. And then allow me to introduce our next friend and co host, Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah,
There he
this
is. There he
guy.
is.
I'm not Jerry Seinfeld. I'm his cousin. And then
I was
this
close.
is Jerry. Sorry, Jerry, get out of here. No, I'm staying with Jerry. Sorry. Um, no, my name is Jackson. I'm Nathan's one of his best friends from high school. We've known each other for I think 11 years now. It's
Yeah, man, it's
crazy. Yeah. So I was invited on by Eddie, and it's great to meet you finally. We've been talking a little bit on the group chat, but great to be here. Excited to talk about what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I know, Nathan, like you said, I've been watching your videos for quite some time, at least, I would say at least 3 years. You know, so pretty excited, to have you on here, kind of, on to have a channel of my own and to have you on here is pretty cool. And I know Jackson, I remember seeing you on some of Nathan's videos as well, especially those, Barnes and Noble Criterion hunts that were always real fun to watch. So, thank you guys for, providing that entertainment. I have some fond memories of watching those videos. So it's cool to have you guys on here on my channel. So thanks again. Thanks for
Yeah.
being here. Um, but yeah, like we were saying, we're going to be talking about some 60s films. I don't know if you all are aware, but on this YouTube channel that I have, I recently started a five favorites of every decade, and I started off with the 50s. I just decided to start there, and I did that one maybe a little over a month ago now, and just bringing different guests on, and then now starting with the 60s. I know that, thinking of some guests, Nathan, you're big with the classics, and I know that you did kind of like a rebrand of your channel a while back
Mhm.
and started focusing more on the classics. So I kind of wanted to ask you first, like what does what constitutes as a classic for you? Like, would you consider 60s as a classic, or what's that definition mean to you?
For me, at least, sorry, my laptop's like really old, and so it will tilt back, and so I need to get a good background, like
Dude,
something to support it.
I have mine on some books, so you're good.
I can relate to that. Yeah, so for me, at least for my channel, I'm defining classics as any time before the 70s. And that's not to say that anything made 70s and after is not a classic. Like I would consider Interstellar a classic, but a different type of classic. But I'm really focusing on that era before the 70s, 1969, and previous to that. Um, at least for my channel. But like I said, you can make an argument for even a movie coming out last year being considered a classic because you think it will eventually receive that status. But my classic definition for these purposes is black and white movies, movies that were more release. I mean, I can't remember when the Hays Code ended. It was well ended by the 60s, I'm pretty sure. But things that were just made before the 70s.
Gotcha. Yeah, I agree. Like, there's, you have your childhood classics as well. I grew up in the '90s, so I have my
Exactly.
child classics and things of that nature. But Jackson, how about you? Do you have like a definition for classics? Like, what is you kind of on the same page as Nathan?
Yeah, I think I'd say I'm on the same page. I think of a classic in terms of something that you can look back on and it'll stay with you probably through the rest of your life and probably through the rest of the generation that you grew up with. But at the same time, that that kind of gets into muddy water because then we could probably say that things that came out just recently could be considered classics. But at the same time, we haven't lived long enough to see what we've lived through to know if they're classics yet. But I pretty much just agree with Nathan's principle on it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because you have, some modern movies that coming out today, and right away you see that cultural impact, and it's gonna have like that long lasting effect, and those could be considered classics as well. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, we'll just really quick kind of catch up with some people in the chat that are joining us here. Thank you anyone in the chat for joining us here today. I hope we can have some fun. Feel free to chime in on your opinions of any of these movies, or if you want to share your top 5 as we go. But we have Holland Oates. What's going on, man? Thanks for being here. It's always here in the chat during always commenting on videos. Cool. And yeah, Holland Oates and Bernardo, movie geek.
What's up, Bernardo?
What's up, man? Glad you can join us. I know he messaged me when I first announced this on Instagram. He was pretty pumped for this. I know you guys are good buds.
Yeah, Bernardo's awesome.
Yeah, love Bernardo.
And Z's Gaming, good evening. Well, how's it going? Thanks for joining us. And the Briar Patch, oldie films are the best. Mom and Brooklyn are here, Nathan. Oh, all right. So a friend of yours.
Yeah,
Nathan,
we got some family here. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in, family.
Oh, well, thanks for coming over from Nathan and joining over here. So awesome. Excited to have new viewers and things like that. So building the community. But yeah, so I don't want to take up too much of y'all's evening today. So the way I kind of saw this going was we each take turns, going over our top 5 favorite films from the 60s, starting off with, each of us list off our number 5, and then we all go through 4, kind of like, so 5 rounds essentially. And just talking about, what we like about the film, and we'll just let the conversation flow naturally. I'm pretty sure we'll just talk about the films that we love. But yeah, and feel free to show it off if you own it physically. I don't know if I know, Nathan, you do collect physically, and Jackson, I don't know how big of a collector you are. Do you into?
Yeah, so I was a big collector back in the day.
Those were the golden days.
Those were the golden days, yeah. But I had to make a big change in my life going into my acting career, so I had to kind of sell off pretty much my entire collection. But happens, and you know what? The sacrifices we make, that's all that matters.
Yeah, it's understandable.
Amen. And then I'm living away from home for a 3-month period, and so I have not one physical copy to my name. I actually have the Walmart exclusive Dune Steelbook that I bought the other day, but that's not going to help today.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I haven't been able to get my hands on that one, but that's a sick Steelbook.
I don't even buy Steelbooks anymore, and I saw that, and so they did a good job on that one. I was like, I got to own that. So good on you.
I didn't even know Steelbooks were still a thing.
I actually have like this shelf right here. Those are all Steelbooks. You can't see the whole thing,
nice.
But I have that's awesome. A little corner of Steelbooks. And yeah, I mean, I've slowed down on buying physical media like this past year, but
yeah,
the previous couple of years I was all in, just every month just buying a ton of releases, and I had to slow down also. But yeah, they're kind of hard to sell off.
Yeah.
But okay, so yeah, I'll let I don't know, Jackson, would you mind starting off this list, and then we could just go around. We can start off with your number 5. Do you have one in mind already?
Yeah. I don't know if you guys had this, but I tried not to think of it in terms of like my favorite of all time list, because I have one of those, and so I was trying to make it more just conduce to the 70s. Sorry, Jerry Seinfeld's going nuts on his dog toy over there. But I tried to make it more about 60s movies in general, so I kind of deviated from my favorites of all time list. So my number 5 is actually My Fair Lady. So I know Nathan and I were kind of talking about that. What, maybe like
Yeah.
a few weeks ago? Yeah.
Mhm.
Did you rewatch it or something? I don't remember what brought up that in the conversation, but
I I think it was just general conversation of, hey man, we're going to be talking about our top 5 movies from the 60s. This is going to be exciting, and I think it might have been a thing where it's like, well, I know My Fair Lady is going to be on the list, something like that, where we just
yeah,
toss it around. But I definitely agreed that it was like incredible. That movie, it's one of those movies that when I hear a song from it, it gets stuck in my head.
yeah. I absolutely love it. I mean, I have a sentimental place in it, place for it in my heart, just because I got to play Henry Higgins myself in the production of My Fair Lady, and that was a lot of fun. But even beyond that, I mean, it's just an incredible musical, and I hate musicals. Let me just put that out there. I hate musicals. Genuinely do. I think they're so
I
ridiculous.
think I forgot about that for you. That's crazy.
Yeah, I really don't like musicals. I always refer to like the scene in Enchanted, that Disney movie with Amy Adams, where Patrick Dempsey, they're like singing the song in the park, and he's like, "Wait, he knows the words too? Like, how does everybody know what they're singing and how to dance and everything like that?" But My Fair Lady, the songs are so catchy, but they move the plot forward, and they're really just I just think the music in it is so good. And then, of course, the story itself is really fun. I think Audrey Hepburn is incredible in it. Rex Harrison won the Oscar for it. I think that's a well-deserved Oscar. Um, and yeah, I just think it's a well-rounded musical. Even if it's 3 hours, that movie kind of flies by. I think those
Mhm.
old classic 60s movies that are like over 2 hours, they have a tendency to kind of drag a little bit, but My Fair Lady, I think, moves at the perfect pace. So
Yeah.
I had to put it on there.
You'll like my family who's watching this can vouch for this, but I think I've told you this before, Jackson. But when anything remotely, or when something goes wrong and it's more of a first world problem, we'll sing, "Oh, poor Professor Higgins," or we'll start singing it to them because it's such a funny tune, and it's like it's definitely condescending, but
Yeah.
we're feeling for them. We're like, oh, poor Professor Higgins, like, oh, boo, kind of thing. But that's an ongoing in our family.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna be writing a lot of these down. I've obviously heard of My Fair Lady, but you probably hear this a lot. I actually haven't seen that one. One of the
Mm.
reasons why, again, I mentioned this in the previous stream, but one of the reasons why I wanted to do this, I guess you could call it a series, is to just hear about more films and hear people's thoughts on them, and just add to that never-ending watch list. And obviously, I have heard of My Fair Lady, but all I knew about it was that Audrey Hepburn was in it, and that it was a long one. But definitely, hearing you guys talk about it, it's definitely gonna go on that watch list for sure now. But I know that we also got a 4K, so as a physical
Yes,
media collector, it's always nice to see those older classic films get that 4K treatment.
it's one of the few 4Ks I actually own.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. It was on sale for Black Friday. I like the
Okay.
slipcover too,
Yeah, fair
and it's a
enough.
good movie. Come on,
It's a great movie. I think that
you're like, hey, I'm
movie.
not disagreeing.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to disagree with that. I honestly, when I think of that movie, because I think it was actually given like the CinemaScope treatment, so it's actually a
Mhm.
really nice looking movie. I think that's something that I don't give that movie enough credit for. Is it's got some great cinematography in it, and
Yes.
um, there's like some iconic shots of like I don't remember the street exactly. Um, I know there's a song even, but it's the opening scene where you're just seeing the street vendors and
Hmm.
Higgins and his mom are coming out of the opera and he meets Eliza for the first time. That's a great looking scene. Like the opening shots of that
Hmm.
movie are just dazzling. So Eddie, if you ever get the time to just be like, I got 3 hours, let me watch My Fair Lady. I think you should prioritize it. It's incredible. I
Amen.
love that movie.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. Definitely, you guys made it sound very interesting. So I'll I failed to pick it up, Nathan, during Black Friday, but I'll look it up for sure. Um, all right. Well, awesome. Thank you, Jackson. Sounds good. I also wanted to add, I myself am not huge on musicals. That always kind of makes me think twice. But I mean, it's obviously beloved for good reason. So, um, I guess Nathan, you want to go ahead and start us, or
Yes.
share your number 5?
Yes, I would love to. My number 5 goes. Oh, by the way, some preface. Everything that Jackson said about his list is the exact opposite for mine. I am like, but I'm glad. I'm glad we have two different perspectives, because you're more so like, when you look at the '60s, what are the 5 best movies that stick out? Mine is exactly the opposite, where it's like my 100 favorite movies, and the 5 '60s movies that were ranked the highest. That's what I'm sharing today, and so it's cool that we're sharing both perspectives. But my number 5 is To Kill a Mockingbird. I love that movie. It's a movie that, obviously based on the book. The book is great as well, but one thing that I owe To Kill a Mockingbird is that it was a very early discovery. And so in recent years, I think I've really capitalized on loving these classics. But I saw To Kill a Mockingbird when I was in high school. I must have been a freshman, because that's when I read it for. But uh, saw it in high school, and even then, I was like, "This movie is incredible." And then every time I revisit it, it just confirms how good it is. Because what I love about To Kill a Mockingbird, I mean, how long have you got, kind of thing. But I think it's a great coming of age story. But beyond that, where it really excels is how much more it is beyond that. Like, you also have not only coming of age, but a really good look at equality. And you just cringe watching the story unfold, and how uh, certain characters are treated. And it has an incredible performance from, I think her name's Mary Badham, who plays Scout, and then Gregory Peck, of course, as Atticus Finch. It's just great. It's great watching from the perspective of a child. You're watching this movie with serious stakes, and it's all from the perspective of a naive little girl. And so I love it. And it's one that I can revisit often, and still just really appreciate. Jackson, I know you've seen it. Have you seen it, Eddie?
Again, I'm gonna feel ashamed a lot
No, no,
tonight,
no.
but
No, that's okay. Sorry. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. That's
no,
another
no,
one to
you're
add to
good.
the list.
Yeah, I already did. I'm writing these down. Like,
Good.
again, these are films that I've obviously like heard of, in my time. But I consider myself a late bloomer when it comes to like a film fan. Obviously
Mhm.
we all grow up, going to the movies, but early on in my life, I was always more of a casual movie watcher. I'd only go out to the theater for the big blockbusters, and of course, growing up
Mhm.
watching the Disney movies. But it wasn't until I'd say maybe the last 4 to 5 years is when I really started to dive deeper into older films,
Nice.
and then black and white, and then of course I discovered Criterion, and then so foreign films. So there's just this whole other world of cinema that I never even knew existed. So I'm slowly making my way, as much as I can. Of course, it takes some time and energy to get through some movies,
Yes.
especially when they're 3 hours plus. Or
Yes.
and but we all have our blind spots.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's definitely like all these that you guys are mentioning. I'm definitely going to be watching these in the next couple of days. So I'll let you all know what I think of them.
Perfect.
Um, Jackson, you a fan of To Kill a Mockingbird, or did you want to add anything?
I actually so I haven't seen that movie since high school.
Ha, ha,
Embarrassingly.
ha.
And funny enough,
Looks
Nathan's the
like
one
it
who
didn't stick with all of us, I see.
no, actually it's funny because Nathan's the one who actually introduced me to that movie. Because I didn't read the book and I still
Oh,
haven't, embarrassingly.
it's really
But
good.
yeah, I know I've got to get on it. But I remember Nathan telling me about like he's like, dude, have you seen To Kill a Mockingbird? And I was like, no. And he was like, well, here you go. Here's the Blu-ray. Watch it. And so I went home and I watched it, and I was like, fair enough. That's incredible. Yeah, that's an incredible movie.
Yes.
Um, but granted, I haven't seen that movie in genuinely probably like 10 years. So I only remember what I remember from it, which is like Gregory Peck is amazing. Pretty much everything Nathan said, I can agree with. And I remember that being something I loved. But yeah, I really need to watch it again. I don't know why I haven't made
Yeah,
that.
watch it again.
I know.
Yeah, and that's another thing, when the rewatches, there's movies that
Yes.
you not there's all these new releases, and then the rewatches. You can't forget about the older films that you loved. And then they agreed here. Great number 5, Nate.
Haha. Thanks, Boo. That's my little sister. I call her Boo.
Oh, your little sister.
Yeah.
Oh, cool,
The
cool.
Briar Patch, that's little sister.
Awesome. And then Gus made it here to the chat here. This is hi Eddie and friends. How's it going, Gus?
Hi, Gus.
And Holland saying hey to Gus there.
All right.
All right. Okay, cool. So I guess I'm up next. And so the way I did this was I just took the films that I've seen that I've logged on Letterboxd. Those are I took those. I went to, how you can go to that decades that you've seen, and I just somewhat similar to what you did, Nathan. So my first one, or number 5, is going to be a recent watch, and it's part of the Criterion Collection. I have it right here, and that's going to be this film from 1969. That's Midnight Cowboy. So I don't know if you all have seen this one or are familiar with it.
Got me there. Dang it. It's on the watch list.
Yeah, so it's a British filmmaker, John Schlesinger, and it just follows these two characters played by Dustin Hoffman and John Voight. So Dustin Hoffman actually did this 2 years after The Graduate, which so he was killing it, in the late 60s. But it just follows these two characters basically just trying to survive in New York City. John Voight's character is this like dishwasher who's living in, I believe, Texas. He wants more out of his life, so he moves to New York. And one of the first people that he meets is Dustin Hoffman. So essentially, it's a story of trying to survive. They're just going through tough times, poverty, and story of friendship, perseverance. And another thing that I really like about this film is how it takes place in New York. And usually, you think of New York as this, big city of opportunity, the bright lights. But the way it's depicted here, a lot of shots at night and old apartment buildings, because obviously they're going through some hardships, and it's just like a real like bleak and gritty depiction, which I really appreciate, and it just feels so visceral and realistic. So it's one thing I like about this film. And fun fact, it was actually the first rated X movie to win Best Picture. So interesting little tidbit about that. But yeah, I mean, perfect casting, great chemistry between these two guys. I think their performance really is what elevates this film. Just they bring this authenticity, and just their chemistry is just undeniable. So yeah, Midnight Cowboy, like I said, recent watch. I actually watched this one leading up to this ranking because I want, just trying to see if I could add some new films, and definitely worth checking out. So yeah.
Nice.
Midnight Cowboy. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
So,
that's a great movie. I live in New York, and
cool.
that was
Nice.
actually one of the first movies, because I used to work at a college, and the guy I worked for, he was a lighting director in TV and film for like 30 years, and he told me when I first got out to New York I needed to watch Midnight Cowboy, so I did that. And it's one of those movies that nobody tells you when you watch it. It is so funny. It is so funny, but in a like a really realistic way. Like it's not like slapstick, it's not like situational comedy. It's just like just how real it is. Like you were saying, Eddie, the authenticity of it is so real. And especially being in New York for about like 3 years now, just seeing what exactly was being shown there, it's so true. And I wish I could have been in New York during that time to see it from that lens, but it's cool to see see the locations that they go to and just being like, oh, I've actually been there, but it doesn't look like that now. But it's just super cool.
Yeah, I think of that scene where, and no spoilers, by the way, I think of that scene where because Dustin Hoffman's character walks with a limp and they're just crossing the street and this cab's about to hit him and he just starts going off and I'm walking here.
Oh, I do know that scene. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the only scene I know.
And just moments like that, it's just like you're saying, Jackson, just like it just brings a funny aspect to it.
Right.
But yeah, anyone else in the chat, if you have any like favorite 60s, I know you didn't have time to make a list or anything like that, but if you want to share like a favorite 60s film, maybe a top 5, not necessarily in any particular order, but feel free to drop them in. But yeah, so I guess we can move on to our number 4s. So Jackson, you want to kick off the next round?
Yeah. So my number 4 is a little romantic comedy called Cactus Flower, and I know Nathan knows this one.
Great choice.
Yeah, I love that movie. I love that movie. I've only seen it once, but I so vividly remember it because it's that good. There's so many great scenes in that movie. And it's pretty, I think I mean, I don't know, because I guess you could consider Clueless a romantic comedy, but if I had to pick like a genuine, strict to the genre romantic comedy, it would be Cactus Flower because it's so good. The chemistry between Walter Matthau and more so Ingrid Bergman than Goldie Hawn, even though Goldie Hawn is amazing in it. She's
won the Oscar, right?
Won the Oscar, yeah.
It was like a debut performance, yeah.
Yeah, she deserved the Oscar, but I think the chemistry between Walter Matthau and Ingrid Bergman is what gives that movie everything it needs to be perfect. And it's funny because it's a comedy, but it's not really laugh out loud funny. It's just genuinely sweet and heartwarming, and it tells a great story. If anybody out there, I'm sorry if you have, but if you've seen Just Go With It, the Adam Sandler movie with Jennifer Aniston, it's a remake of Cactus Flower.
Wow.
But Cactus Flower in and of itself is an adaptation of a French play. So it's not really its own thing, but I think Cactus Flower is just one of those movies that if you watch it, not really going in expecting what you expect from romantic comedies, you're gonna have a great time. And I think that's why it's so high on my list, because even for being a 60s movie, I think you can watch it today and it still resonates.
I was going to say too, Eddie, you don't have to feel bad about missing that one because that one's definitely a more obscure, underrated 60s movie. Like the only reason I know about it is because Jack recommended it to me. And yeah, I second everything Jackson said. And I would also add that it adds it's a comedy, but then there's this dark side of it that addresses like suicide, and it's weird because you hear that and automatically you're like, oh wow, okay, this is going to be a pretty heavy movie, but it somehow manages to deal with it in a comedic way. You'll just have to watch it to see, but very entertaining movie.
Yeah, and I feel like that theme is kind of prominent in a lot of movies, 60s movies at least that I've seen. Like they tackle these dark themes, but it's surrounded by some lightheartedness and comedy, and it's just they're all just kind of intertwined together. And I feel like that, especially with 60s movies, I noticed that coming up with this list, that's a very like recurring type of thing. But oh, we lost Jackson there for a moment. But
there's something you said. I'm just kidding.
Nice. I think he's good. So Cactus Flower. Yeah, I was looking it up on Letterboxd right now, and you're actually you're the only one that I follow that have seen it. So.
That checks out.
Yeah.
It's an obscure one. But it's like it's worth it. I think it's very enjoyable.
Yeah. So Cactus Flower, definitely wrote that one down already.
Cool.
But, okay. Well, hopefully Jackson can join us here in a moment. But Nathan, I guess we can.
Yeah, I can share my number 4.
All right.
Yeah, so mine is also Criterion, and I own this one back home. I own To Kill. I own all these movies. Anyways, I wish I could show it, but the Criterion, the movie Failsafe from 1964, I believe. Yeah,
Oh,
1964. Yeah. Have you heard of that one?
yeah, I got that one back there. I actually again haven't seen it,
No, it's okay. It's okay,
but
man.
yeah, it's back there. It's is it Sidney Lumet? I
Yeah,
want to say.
totally.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I love Failsafe. I actually sorry, I'm writing Bernardo because he had one job and I said, what's everyone's number five? And he said it's number one.
Oh yes, I see his comment there. Yeah, number
Bernardo's-
one. Maybe he's going backwards there.
yeah, he's doing reverse order. Good on you, Bernardo. Okay, so because I know Bernardo has he probably has a top 100. He's seen a lot too. But okay, so
Yes.
Failsafe for me, the movie, it's directed by Sidney Lumet. For those who aren't familiar, the one who directed 12 Angry Men, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. And basically in the movie, the US, oh, nice of you to join us.
Hey,
the
Jerry
US.
Seinfeld was going on.
And I'm talking about Failsafe. It's my number 4, Jackson.
I'm just
Hey.
kidding. I'm just kidding. I love Failsafe. I love
Yeah.
Failsafe. I love Failsafe. I'm
I
sorry.
was gonna say I've seen your rating on Letterboxd. Don't even. No, but so Failsafe. I was gonna say basically the U.S. has accidentally, and the movie explains it because sorry, I'll just keep going. It accidentally sets off a nuclear bomb that's going to be sent over to Moscow and blow up a huge population. And you probably are hearing that thinking, how do you accidentally send a bomb? The movie explains everything and it actually makes sense how it all happens. And the movie itself is trying to stop the bomb. And it's interesting because same year, I think it's the same year, Doctor Strangelove came out, and that also obviously has a huge plot with the bomb. And I haven't seen that movie since high school, so don't quiz me on anything beyond that. But from what I remember, Doctor Strangelove takes a more comedic route, and then Failsafe, no comedy at all in this movie. It is incredibly heavy and serious and intense, and similar to 12 Angry Men, lots of intense camera angles. And what I mean by that, it's like you're looking up at the characters, looking down, the shadowing, the sweat. It feels like 12 Angry Men. And so it totally checks out that it's a Sidney Lumet film. And it also even has Henry Fonda in it. So he plays the president of the United States, actually. So one of my all-time favorites, and the recent rewatch I had of it just confirmed it to be an all-time favorite. I don't know how often I'll be able to rewatch, though, because it's a pretty intense movie. So no spoilers here. It's a good watch, though. Highly recommend it. Oh, hey. And Bernardo agrees with me. Good number 4, Bernardo. Your number 5's
He
awful, though.
agrees.
I'm
He
just
agrees.
kidding. I haven't seen your number 5. I'm just joking.
I don't think anyone has.
I've seen Romeo and Juliet, though. Thank goodness.
I've seen Sherlock
the
Gnomes.
superior version.
Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah, I actually, speaking of that, I heard a lot of people kind of compare those two films. I guess Doctor Strangelove and Failsafe, not Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo and Juliet and Failsafe,
clarify.
basically the same thing.
And yeah, so I've seen Doctor Strangelove, but not Failsafe, obviously. But yeah, Bernardo agrees with you. Also, Failsafe at number 4.
Hey, great taste, Bernardo.
Yeah, great taste, Bernardo, as always.
I wonder what Bernardo's number 1 is.
You know, Bernardo and I actually from the same town. Like we grew up in the same.
Are you
city.
serious?
Yeah, I'm
That
not
is
gonna
so
say
cool.
where. I don't want to dox anybody, but no. Yeah, I ran across because on YouTube I'm searching for Criterion halls and whatnot, and I guess I stumbled upon one of his videos, and I'm like, hey, I know that place.
No way.
And we actually ended up one time. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. We ended up meeting up at a Barnes and Noble, and
Oh, that's so cool.
we didn't record or anything, but we just kind of hung out for a bit.
That's so cool.
I know you guys did as well, right? I think that I saw a
Yeah,
video.
totally. Yeah, he was in Utah when I was living in Utah for school. He was visiting Utah to help our friend Nick, who you've also seen in the Criterion videos,
Mhm.
help Nick with a short film he was making, and it just so happened that the timing was it was in the month of July, and we were like, I mean, we can't not make a Criterion video. And so legendary meetup that was, it was great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
Absolutely.
times.
So yeah, definitely small world.
Yeah.
And he says it makes a great double bill. I think he's referring to Failsafe and Strangelove.
Okay, I thought he was referring to Romeo and Failsafe, and I was like, well, again with that, what?
Okay. All right. So where were we? Who's next? Is it?
It's all you, Eddie.
All right, my turn. All right, gotcha. Failsafe. I have it back there. Maybe I'll watch it tonight. We'll see.
Oh my gosh, you should, and then you should let me know what you think.
Definitely. So I actually mentioned this
Intense.
when I was talking about my number 5 without thinking about it, but that's The Graduate. And
Nice.
so yeah, I actually don't own the Criterion. I just own this Blu-ray I found like at a dollar store or something. But yeah, just I guess there's something about Dustin Hoffman. I mean, I never really thought about him as like one of my favorite actors or anything, but I mean, he just makes great movies. And you know, I know Nathan, I saw your review on Letterboxd. I know you weren't too big on it at the time. I know I did see it was a while back, so I don't know.
I was gonna say, I'm being very silent during this one.
Yeah, I did see that. So
I've seen it twice too. Like I want this. It's one of those movies that like I want to like it, but it's just it does not connect with me. And so I'm down to give it another try though someday. But sorry, I'll let you both, because I know Jackson, you're a fan too of it. I'm pretty sure. And so yeah, I'll let you guys take the lead on this one, and I'll just appreciate it. Appreciate the comments.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just what kind of what stood out for me was, I like the fact that it's a coming of age story, and I'm a fan of coming of age stories, and the way that Dustin Hoffman's character, he's trying to kind of struggling with this internal conflict of whether to commit this act or not, and just life after college. You're still trying to find who you are and your place in life, your moral compass is trying. It's kind of like the time in life where it's going to decide who you're going to be. And I guess when I saw it, I just really connected with that aspect of it. And again, just kind of going back to what I said about Midnight Cowboy and the backdrop of New York City. I'm always looking at that kind of stuff in movies, and it's just the 60s aesthetic in this film, as far as the the wardrobe and just the interior shots of the bedrooms, and it just kind of like this time capsule, and it puts me in that time period and with these characters and their dialogue. And it was also engaging for me from start to finish, and not to
By all
mention the
accounts,
soundtrack. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, by all accounts, like I should love this movie. The way you're describing it, I'm like, yeah, no, this movie sounds great. I'm like, what's wrong with me? I think from what I remember there being a lot of scenes that are like, I think there are really cool shots. I remember there's a shot of Dustin Hoffman underwater, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then the final scene on the bus, and then the soundtrack's incredible. So even when I watched it and didn't love it, I did recognize there were parts that I was like, oh yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. That was one of the things I wanted to talk about, was that camera work. That scene where you're talking about, it was this first person point of view, if I remember correctly,
Oh
where
yeah.
he's in the pool and he's coming out and you're kind of seeing his perspective through the goggles. And I liked how the filmmaker, I actually can't remember who directed it at the moment, but I like how he puts you in Dustin Hoffman's perspective, and you're feeling or you should be feeling what he's feeling, in that moment. There's a particular scene where he's surrounded by all these people talking to him at once, and he's kind of overwhelmed, and the camera's up close. I mean, you can see everyone's face right up close, and it's just, I think the camera work is like top notch in that movie. So yeah, I mean,
Amen.
technically it was great. I don't know, Jackson, are you a fan of The Graduate?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of The Graduate. It's funny because I didn't like that movie the first time I saw it, but it was also because I was 15 and I was obviously not going to get it. I was going to be like, what am I supposed to get from this? But I remember I took an editing class in high school, or not high school, college. And we studied The Graduate for a couple of weeks, and I started to just understand fully, especially on a technical level. It's an incredible movie. But I think what I got from it the most was the story of Mrs. Robinson. She's like the main character, in my opinion. I think she's the most interesting one, at least, because it's really like, sure, you're following Dustin Hoffman's journey of like, he's trying to figure it out and trying to, become the person that he wants to be. But I think Mrs. Robinson goes through a more interesting version of that throughout the movie, where she's also trying to figure it out because she doesn't love her husband. She also wants to break away from being a mom because she's like, I don't think that life was meant for me. Um, but then she also becomes a good mother by the end because she realizes, oh, that is who I need to be because this is the path I've chosen. But I think the best part of it by far, and I think Nathan would agree with this, is the soundtrack. That soundtrack is
Mhm.
incredible. I have the whole thing downloaded, so I listen to it often. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Graduate. Great movie.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, if you ever decide to rewatch Nathan, hopefully, but then again, not every movie is for everyone. There's some movies there's some classic movies that everyone recommends, and then I watch it and I'm like,
Huh?
it wasn't
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, Holland agrees as well. He said he's seen The Graduate once and loved the first half. Well, not the second half, Holland? Or does it?
He didn't
Does
like
it
how
kill
it turned
Jake?
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't like the ending.
Oh, that's me.
Who is this in the chat? Let's remove this person.
Yeah, get rid of that guy. I was just being stupid because it sounds stupid. So I do like the sound of silence. It's like, okay, the song or the sound? It's stupid.
Yeah, where are the mods?
It's awful.
I'm kidding, man. All right, so this is moving good pace here. We're gonna kick off for number 3. So Jackson, like always, gonna start us off in the new round. So whenever you're ready.
Yeah. My number 3, I might be kind of getting on Nathan's track here. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
Oh man.
I don't know if we'll see that on this list, but
Can I actually spoil that right now?
yeah.
It's my number 6. I was so sad. I was so sad.
Yeah, no, I was wondering if that was gonna make an appearance for you, but
Yeah,
I know you've got
so
a
close.
yeah, because you said you were going off of your top 100 list, and you've got others 60s movies on there. So,
Mhm.
but I know we can use this as an opportunity for you to gush about it. So,
Yes,
um,
you go first
that
though. It's your
yeah,
number.
yeah, wow. If you want to talk about one of the best scripts ever written, that is easily it. But I love being a film guy and like knowing the trivia behind it. So just a little disclaimer. This isn't a spoiler, by the way, Eddie, if you haven't seen Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Nope, sadly no.
It's an incredible movie. It might be, I know Failsafe is really heavy, but I think Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf is probably heavier.
I would agree with that actually. They're
Yeah,
different. I don't know how to they're like different levels of heavy. But
right.
like I don't know, Virginia Woolf I had to pause it as I was watching it and take a break before I
Yeah,
finished it to give you an
yeah.
idea.
I think to like pinpoint it is like failsafe is like hypothetical, and so the heaviness
Yeah.
comes from like what if this happened, whereas like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf is so real. It's about like
Mhm.
people that you could easily see those things happening to. And it's just so dark, but not in a like it's really twisted, but not in a unwatchable way where you're like, ugh, I don't like this. It's like you're engaged because it's so twisted. You're like, I just got to know
Mhm.
what they
Exactly.
do about it. They're so real. But it's originally a play by Edward Albee, who wrote so many plays during the 50s and 60s that I highly recommend anybody read. But when Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton signed on for it, they got the film version of the script, which was completely different, not anything like the original play. And they were like, Yeah, I don't know if we want to do this now. And so the director who coincides with The Graduate, Mike Nichols, it was his
That's what
very
it
first,
is.
yeah, it was his very first film. He was like, why don't we just do the play and we'll just give the credit to the screenwriter who wrote that awful version of the film
Oh wow.
and we'll just get away with that. So pretty much verbatim, line for line, the play is the movie, other than a couple of cinematic things that they had to change. But
Hmm.
yeah, that's why I think it's such a perfect movie, is that they did not change pretty much anything from the original script. And beyond the script, Elizabeth Taylor is just incredible in it. That's probably a
Hmm.
top three performance of all
Oh my
time.
gosh. Yeah, of all time. Not even like female, like
Nope,
all
just
time.
general. Yeah, just categorically all around perfect performance. I think, and for being almost a 2.5 hour movie, that is a very, very fast-paced movie.
I didn't even really you saying that shocked me. I was like, that's how long it is? Like it doesn't feel like that.
No, it doesn't at all. And the first 20 minutes alone is just her and Richard Burton just talking.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't stop. But they're talking so, I don't know. I don't want to get
Hmm.
too much into it because I just want you to see it, Eddie, and I want anybody who hasn't seen it to watch it. It's a perfect script, and
Yeah.
that just catapults it into a perfect movie for me.
I'll say a few quick things about it. For one, I think I either said this in my letterbox review or I've said it else. I don't know, but it's the movie that you hate every character, but at the same time you feel something towards every character. Like if a character starts crying, you feel for them. And kind of funny, if my little sister's still watching this, I've referred to this movie before, and she refers to it as the yelling people movie. Is that the movie where they yell in it? And I'm like, yeah, that's the one because last year I saw it for the first time last year, and for those not aware, I do a movie award show on my channel called the Alfies, where I award my first time watches of the year. And Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf actually won Best Picture. So of all the movies I saw for the first time last year, Virginia Woolf won. So if that doesn't sell it, I don't know what will. But yeah, I'll just throw that out there. Anyways, okay. I can say my number three unless you wanted to say anything, Eddie.
No, I mean, I'm just it sounds great. I mean, it sounds very interesting. I'm just excited. I wish I could just watch all these movies like tonight, but there's only
You
so
almost
much
wish you could
time.
like, yeah, you wish you could like freeze time and watch all of
Yeah,
them. Yep.
exactly. And then
Um,
yeah, go ahead, Nathan.
my number three is very similar to Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. It is The Sound of Music. No, you love that movie.
No, I love The Sound of Music, but just comparing it to Virginia Woolf.
Complete opposites.
Exactly.
Yeah, no. This is one that I don't know. I'd be interested to see. I could see it being on your list, Jackson. I don't know. I don't know though. And then Eddie, I don't know. We'll see, I guess. But for me, Sound of Music, um, this is. I'm a fan of musicals. Earlier, we were talking about musicals. I love musicals, and this is one of the best to me. In fact, if you were to ask me my favorite classic musical, this would definitely take the spot. Um, it's just a very great story, great songs. Julie Andrews is incredible in it. And my favorite scene, I don't know if everyone else would agree with this, but when I think of Sound of Music and why I love it so much, I'm not even joking, but my go to scene is the Do Re Mi sequence. Like, I think a lot of people would choose another sequence, but that for me, from the moment it begins, when they're singing in the field with her guitar, and then it cuts to them riding on bicycles and walking around this little pond and just going throughout. Oh, they're on a horse and carriage at one point, I think. Like that whole entire sequence is just that's as cheesy as it sounds. That's movie magic right there. That's my go-to thought when I think of Sound of Music. So, oh yeah, and I see Gus is a fan of it too. That's awesome. So Sound of Music's my number three. I could go on and on, so I'll just stop there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually I have seen that. It's definitely due for a rewatch. I think this was like back in high school or something.
Okay, got
So
it.
it's definitely been a while, but yeah, from what I remember, I do remember enjoying it, especially the music, like you said. So that's obviously an
Mhm.
iconic part of it. So yeah, that does that have a 4K? I don't think it does, right?
I don't think so either. No, I don't think so.
Hmm. Well, it should.
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, Gus loves it as well. And then Bernardo says his number three is West Side Story.
Oh,
No,
Jackson
no,
hates that movie.
Jackson does not agree.
I hate West Side Story so much. Don't want to get into it, but yeah,
Oh, it's so good.
no, it
Gosh.
is not.
Yes, it is. We just keep going back and forth. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Hey, yes, it is.
We'll
So
have a
bad,
bottom five of the 60s
Yeah,
another
yeah.
time.
and that is number one for
Oh,
me.
I'd be. That is cruel. That's cruel.
No, actually, the reason Sound of Music didn't make it, funny enough, because you said Virginia Woolf was your number six, Nathan.
Hmm.
That would probably be my number six. Would be Sound of Music.
Oh,
Because I genuinely do love that movie. But I think the only thing keeping it from it was one, My Fair Lady, I would put above it. And
yeah.
the reason is there's not a single moment in My Fair Lady that I think drags or doesn't earn itself. Whereas Sound of Music, there's one song and it brings the whole movie to a halt because that movie's 3 hours long. And the only song that you're like, oh, I'm starting to feel the runtime is Edelweiss. That song is so boring and it's so dull. And it's just like, what are we
That's so
doing?
funny.
Because Christopher Plummer is great in that movie. I think him as Captain Von Trapp is awesome. But that scene, I'm like,
It is like
oh,
I can't completely disagree with you. Like I like the song, but I will agree it is a very slower song. It's a much slower song than all the other songs you're used to. So it's the first time I think it's a good way of describing it. The first time you're realizing, oh, that okay, we still have a bit of time in this movie, kind of thing. So
right.
I would agree with that.
But I also agree. Okay, all right, Gus. Well, I think time for Gus to go.
Did you see
Um,
Gus's next comment about Edelweiss?
There it is.
hey, get out of here! No. But
Yeah,
I
Bernardo's
also
disappointed in you as well.
I know Bernardo gets disappointed in me a lot, but
That's the big deal.
um, I do agree with Nate that the Do Re Mi scene, that is the scene where because I'm with you, Eddie. I haven't seen that movie since high school, but I do need to rewatch it. And that Do Re Mi sequence is absolute cinema magic.
So good.
That's the scene when I was watching it in high school that I was like, you know, I say this to Nate a lot, but I don't know if you get this, Eddie, or anybody watching, where when you're watching a movie and a scene happens or a moment happens or even just the entire thing happening to you at once where it's so good you just start
Mhm,
laughing because you're like, I'm just this is so good and it's
mhm.
touching me on a level that no other movie has. And that's the scene that I always think of when I think of Sound of Music. It's that scene
Nice.
specifically because it just
That's
made me
awesome.
laugh where I was like, this is so good.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, like I said, due for a rewatch, but I do remember being very um engaged. Like Julie Andrews' presence and just like on screen, just
Mhm.
so um majestic to look at, you know.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, seriously. So yeah, great pick. And yeah,
Thank you.
anything says draw stat top five.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
has like he keeps agreeing. I'm like, hey man, like come on, give it to us. We want it. The fans want it.
you got to give us what we want. Come on, Gus. Drop your list. Um, okay. So my number three, I also own. I'm just realizing a lot of these are criterions.
No
that's
problem with
just
that.
that's just my way of that's how I discover film. That's why I love Criterion. It's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
otherwise a lot of these are not on streaming or the quality is so bad on streaming. I'd rather just wait for a physical release.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's gonna be. I'm just gonna show it off. It's Charade.
Oh, such
Yeah.
a good movie.
Yes. I watched this not too long ago, so it's kind of still in my fresh in my memory. But I hear a lot of people referring to this as a very Hitchcock-like film that
Mhm.
wasn't directed by Hitchcock.
Mhm.
Um, I guess because of just the level of suspense and the twists and turns that this movie takes. But I would definitely was interesting seeing an older Cary Grant, at least for me, because obviously when I think of Cary Grant, I think of his older black and white films, and then of course here he plays an older gentleman, but just him and him and Audrey Hepburn kind of just bouncing off each other. That chemistry was always fun to watch. I did think it was a little weird, that age difference kind of showed, and at times there was this uh, sense of like, okay, he's being dishonest to you, but you keep coming back to him. So there was that frustration with their dynamic. But overall, I just love how this movie takes these different genres and blends them all together. You get comedy, it's this mystery thriller type of, I guess, whodunit type of thing. And I don't know if y'all remember the opening sequence, but it starts off with this shot of what appears to be a murder, and then the music just kicks in and it has the names just kind of going in some sort of a maze like sequence, and that was fun. But yeah, just love that movie. It was a fun ride start to finish, and
good.
Definitely number 3 for me. So what do you guys
that's my number. We were talking earlier about like Virginia Woolf being my number 6. So fun fact, Charade's my number 10. If this was a top 10 video, we would have had that one. I love Charade, and that's one. I don't know what it is about the movie. I think I've seen it 3 times in my life, and every time I revisit it, it feels like a new experience. And I'm not saying that to like bash the film, that it's like it's forgettable, but it somehow is just as engaging for me. I think this last watch, I finally remember it well enough where future rewatches will be predictable or whatnot. But love the chemistry of Audrey Hepburn and Cary Grant, 2 favorites of mine, and agree with everything you said as well. And then I was going to say the opening title sequence with the credits and everything. I can't think of the name right now, but it's the same person who did like Vertigo and Anatomy of a Murder, I think, and Psycho.
Saul Bass.
Yes, yeah. Saul Bass is the one. I'm pretty sure it's Saul Bass who did the Charade too. So just fun little fact there.
Yeah, that's great. Jackson, I don't know if you have any thoughts on it or.
So I'll be honest, I haven't seen that movie in a very long time. I remember my mom showed it to me when I was young because she loves that movie, and she also loves anything Audrey Hepburn. So I remember really loving it as a kid, but I think Nate's the one who's kind of kept me like with the memory of it because he watched it. I don't remember when you first watched it, but when you first watched it, you were telling me all the scenes that you loved, and I was kind of remembering. I was like, oh, man, that movie is so good. It's due for a rewatch though, so I can't really say where I would place it in my top of the 60s, but I do think it is a great movie.
Yeah, the scene that stands out to me, or at least that comes to mind right now, is when they're on the rooftop and Cary Grant is in this physical fight with that, that one, the hook.
Yes.
And it's hilarious. It's funny. It's a good time. But Bernardo agrees as well. Good taste, Bernardo. Says it's a great pick. And Gus dropped his list.
He dropped his top 5 of all time, I think, because
oh
yeah, I was like, Gone with the Wind is not from the 60s. But hey, that's like an even better win, I guess, that we got his top 5 of all time. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's more than what we asked for.
We know what his number 1 60s film is with The Sound of Music. Hey, you know what, Jackson? You can leave.
I hate Gone with the Wind.
Well, I hate Close Encounters.
Well, you're wrong.
I actually don't hate it, but I'm not as big of a fan of other people.
I love Close Encounters. Hate Gone with the Wind, though. Way too long. Boring.
No comment. Just see it in theaters, and it'll change.
I will never do that. No, I will not do that.
Dang it, Roger Ebert.
Yeah, watching a 3-hour movie in theaters is not easy, I'll say. At least for me.
Unless it's Gone with the Wind with great pacing.
I will watch The Godfather 20 times in the theater before I ever see Gone with the Wind on a TV screen even once.
Hey, Gus, you can't tell me to leave. I'm also praising Gone with the Wind.
Hey, Bernardo. I don't know.
What?
Gus
Watch
says you
Jackson
can
and I
vote.
both leave, and Eddie just shares his number 2 and number 1 where I go, right?
That would be one lonely stream. Please don't leave. And then, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn, Jackson. Oh man! All right, guys, let's
Yes. Okay.
be friendly, everyone.
Okay. Cool.
I don't want to ruin any friendships tonight. Oh man, good times, good times. Okay, I guess that closed off the number 3, so we'll start it again with our number 2s. So
Before Jackson goes, I gotta say, I'm very surprised none of us have matched at any point, and I'm pretty sure we're going to match either here or number 1. We'll see, though.
Yeah.
I think we might.
Okay, Jackson, take it away.
So I already know my number 2 is going to make a reappearance on this list. It's Psycho.
Never heard of it.
It's okay.
Yeah, I don't know if any of you have heard of this movie. I debated for so long if I should go for Psycho or Persona by Ingmar Bergman. And the only thing it came down to was that I love Psycho way more.
That's a fair reason.
Yeah. I do love Persona, and I wanted to put it on there because I wanted to show some foreign movies some love on this list, but I also was like, I can't leave out Psycho, even though I know it's going to make a reappearance, but it's too good. It's like the epitome of the 60s for me. And I mean, I guess you could be like, then why isn't it your number 1? It's more because you'll see why when I say my number 1, but I think it's just a perfect movie, and I don't want to get too much into it because I know we're going to have a discussion, so I want to open it up to discussion because it's just a perfect movie.
I plead the fifth. I cannot have a discussion on it for certain reasons that I will not disclose here.
Hey,
I'll share my thoughts, just not at this moment.
fair enough. Yeah.
Sounds good. All right. Yeah, fair. No, I mean, I have seen that one, thankfully. But for me, it was kind of ruined in a way because I knew what was coming at the end there, so I didn't get that shock value like a lot of people did on their first watch. But of course, it's a classic, and for good reason. I mean, just I love that movie, and I actually saw the TV show, I believe, Bates Motel, before I even saw Psycho.
Oh, no way!
So
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. Have y'all seen that TV show?
I watched the first season. I was kind of into it, but I knew going further it'd be like they're gonna add some stuff that I won't think plays into the lore.
I think I got I got through the first 2 seasons. Then I went on my 2-year church mission, and they didn't have anything else out before my mission. And by the time I got home, I was just kind of not interested in it anymore. But I have seen the first 2 seasons. I think it was the first 2.
And are you guys fans of the sequels?
Never seen them.
Have not seen them and have no plan to.
Same.
And so no, I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
I just think Psycho's such a perfect movie on its own that I don't like thinking of the story continuing.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't think I know it's technically a franchise because it's got its sequels and it's got a TV show, but when I think of Psycho, it's by itself. And what kind of played into it a little bit is like, I've shown so many girls that movie on date nights of being like, hey, you want to watch a scary movie? And I put on Psycho. And you'd think like you put on a movie with a girl, you're like, we're not really gonna watch the movie, but like, no, I am watching Psycho because it's so good. Like, they're like wanting to like hold my hand. I'm like, hey,
babe, the shower scene's coming up. Pay attention.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, did you see that she's wearing a black outfit now because it's reflective of her mood?
Symbolism, yeah.
Yeah, it's the symbolism. She's guilty of something now.
Yes.
Psycho is just even beyond. I think because I Eddie, I think with me, I think I knew way more than I should have going into it with being like, ah, the shock value might be lost. But that's such a, I think just such a zeitgeist of a movie that it doesn't lose any of its value. Like you're not going to really be genuinely shocked if you know the twists per se. But even with them being revealed, it's just so much fun and it's just got
Mhm.
so much heart behind it. And the fact that like they made a whole movie on the making of it with Hitchcock with Anthony Hopkins, which I know
Very
Nate's a fan of.
underrated. Yep, very
Yeah,
underrated.
I'm not too big on that movie. I like Anthony Hopkins in it though. Um, I think it just speaks to that movie being more than just its twists and having those really cool shock values to them. It's yeah, and then the opening theme, just Saul Bass doing
Hmm.
the titles.
Hmm.
Whenever that kicks on and I'm watching it, I'm like, oh yes, here we go. This is a perfect
Hmm.
movie.
And it takes place during December. It's like so random to me.
In Phoenix,
Yeah,
Arizona.
I know. It's so random.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and I don't,
yeah.
well, so no,
Oh,
and
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and I don't know if how prominent like the color was in film by then, but or if that was like a stylistic choice. Like, do you all know about that? Because I mean, I feel like it really added to it in black and white. I feel like that was a great decision there
Yeah,
to the
I think.
atmosphere, and yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've like Psycho. It's funny because my favorite movie of all time is It's a Wonderful Life, but Psycho is the movie that I've studied the most out of any movies. I've read several books on it. I've watched documentaries. I watched the Hitchcock biography movie, and yeah, the black and white cinematography was very intentional. It had to do with budgets, but also they
Mhm.
couldn't get away with the shower scene if it were in color. So it's pretty
Interesting.
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 I can't imagine it
Yeah.
being color either. The black and white adds to the, just like you were saying, it adds to the eerie atmosphere.
Mhm. Yeah, and
Absolutely.
and weird fact, I don't know if this is true, but I remember reading somewhere that it was the first movie to show like a
Oh,
toilet
a
scene or
flushing
something.
toilet.
Oh, the flushing
Yeah.
toilet.
Yep.
Because she's ripping up what does she rip up the note from
Yeah. She's ripping up. She's doing a. Sorry, it cracks me up. She's doing a math equation. It's like the easiest math equation to do in your head, and she like writes it out and subtracts. It's something like oh, I can't think of what the. I'm thinking 8,000, but that's a Wonderful Life. But it's like 8,000 minus 7,000. We'll just say that's not what it is, but it's something like that where it's like, why is she writing this out? And then she tears it up and puts it in the toilet and flushes it down. Also, Gus, you know that I'm Maple Street, right? just throwing that out there.
And Laren's here. What's up, Laren? Laren's a good buddy.
What's up, Laren?
And yeah, I've heard that too. A lot of people say that Psycho 2 is actually pretty good. So I don't know. I actually haven't seen the sequels, but I do own that Arrow box set. I don't know if you know which one I'm talking about, but I could pull it out at the end if you haven't seen it. But he says that it's good, so I don't know. Maybe.
Tut tut.
Also,
I just
hello.
like Anthony Perkins being so down to being like, yeah, I don't really have an acting career beyond the first Psycho, so let me just continue to ride that train.
Yeah.
Even though he has a great screenwriting career, he wrote The Last of Sheila. So if Carson, you're
Mhm.
watching, there you go. There's your shout
Carson,
out.
yeah, Carson's favorite movie. Our friend Carson Bates, his favorite movie of all time is Last of Sheila, and Anthony Perkins very randomly is I think he co-wrote. I think there's two writers. I can't remember
Yeah, he
for sure.
co-wrote it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he co-wrote it. It's super random. That's disgusting, Gus.
I think Gus is referring to the toilet scene.
Yeah, the flushing toilet.
Laren's like, come on, Gus.
And then Gus is like, "Come on, Laren."
Oh, I'm getting real feisty tonight. Real feisty.
Yeah.
Did not foresee
Well, I
that.
mean, she clearly didn't have the Cheez-It Crunch Wrap that they just introduced. This is not sponsored, by the way, but we all want to acknowledge. I tried it. It's actually really good. I don't want to deviate too much,
Oh,
but
note to
it's
self.
really good. Really good.
All right,
Good
all
to
right.
know.
We're not sponsored, by the way. But
Yeah, no. I was gonna say with
Yeah.
Psycho 2, I was in the same boat where I knew the spoiler going into it, and still really enjoyed it. But one thing that I think was really neat is when I moved away from Utah, my friends threw a going away party for me, and they knew that I loved black and white movies. They knew that I loved Psycho. They hadn't seen it, and so it was kind of like, oh, you get to choose what we watch. And I was like, can we watch Psycho? So we all watched Psycho, and I filmed one of my friends' reactions. Miraculously, I mean, I say miraculously, but really, I think when you're not a huge movie fan like us, it's actually pretty easy to not know the spoiler of Psycho. But miraculously, she didn't know the spoiler, and her reaction was priceless. Like, that's the exact kind of reaction you hope to get from Psycho, where just jaw dropped, jaw on the floor, just like completely shocked. It was incredible. That made it worth it.
Wait, when you say twist, do you mean the first one or the last?
All of it. The one I'm referring to is the last one, but the whole experience. I think she might have known about the shower scene. I think that one's like an easier twist to know about. Right. But like the one that really got her was the finale, where just everything comes together, and you're like, "What did I just watch?" But anyways, I got to stop talking about Psycho. You guys are tricking me.
we talked a lot about Psycho. That was fun. That was a fun conversation.
Yeah. I'm gonna talk about my number 2.
Go for it.
It is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Absolutely love this movie. It's a movie that when I first saw it, I mean, I feel like a lot of people know Good, Bad, the Ugly because of the soundtrack, the score. So when I finally saw it and heard the score, it just lived up to the expectations. I think if there's one word I could use for this movie, and it's such a cliche, boring word, but I mean it in every definition of the word would be cool. I just think it is so cool. Clint Eastwood in it is, oh, cool, Bernardo. Number 7 for Bernardo. I was going to say really quickly, Bernardo, you said your number 2 was, I think you said was Liberty Valance. That's my number 8. So just throwing that out there. But Clint Eastwood is so cool. I love how the movie starts too, how you get an introduction. Eddie, have you seen Good, Bad, the Ugly?
I haven't.
It's okay. It's okay. The movie, Jackson.
You gotta see it, man. You gotta see it.
Yeah, I know. I have like a watch pile that sits by my TV, and that Dollars trilogy is actually sitting in that stack.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I mean, Good, Bad, the Ugly is the best of the trilogy. The trilogy's great, but Good, Bad, the Ugly is like another level. Yeah,
I like For a Few Dollars More a lot, though. I like For a Few Dollars More.
But you don't like it more, do you?
No, absolutely.
Oh,
I'm not crazy.
That's why I was crazy.
No, but I think that's the second best of the trilogy for what it's worth.
I can't remember what my ranking is, but I probably agree with you because I remember there's like a clear ranking. But Good, the Bad, the Ugly, it's just, I don't know. I almost don't even want to explain it. Like I just like, I want you to experience it, Eddie.
Yeah.
I will say though, there is I mean, we've been on the conversation of long movies, fast paced. That's The Good, the Bad, the Ugly to a T.
Yep.
It's a really long movie. You don't feel it though.
No.
And it's oddly enough, Eddie, okay, here's one for you. Have you seen Puss in Boots, The Last Wish?
I've seen that one.
Yeah. So oddly enough, you haven't, Jackson?
I still haven't seen
it. It's super good. You got to see it.
I know.
Okay. I was going to say, so actually Puss in Boots, I'm positive it was inspired by Western movies because the plot of Puss in Boots all the parties trying to get to the star so they can make the wish. Very similar to The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It's like 3 different people trying to make it to some buried treasure, if you will, some buried cash. And you're watching each of their story, their path to get there. And it leads to this incredible showdown. Oh, sorry. Bernardo commented the ecstasy of Gold Track is everything. That track plays in that final showdown. And so I'm just like nerding out right now. And I'm going to stop. Just join before I take the dog on a walk in a bit. Hey, Bailey, what's up?
Bailey?
Bailey's a friend of Jackson and mine. And she might be a friend of yours too. I don't know if you met.
I know.
Like, I don't want to assume.
I don't think I've seen her on
Okay.
the
Hi,
chat
Bailey.
before, but welcome, Bailey. Thank you for joining. Yeah, awesome.
I was gonna say, Nate,
Yeah.
when you were talking about like the pace of Good and the Bad and the Ugly, that is one of those movies that whenever I tell people about it, it's like that movie gets away with having the first 40 minutes not be anything about the plot, and yet you're still
Yeah.
so invested. It just
That's
introduces
true.
each of the characters for 40 minutes,
That
and
is so
nothing
true.
really happens, but so much happens, obviously, because you're being introduced to these characters. And then
Yeah.
when the plot actually does kick off, it doesn't stop. It is
And
a thrill ride.
And to speak to how good it is, I watched it. So in 2022, I did my 25 movies challenge. I watched a bunch of Westerns for the first time. I had already seen Good, Bad, the Ugly, but I wanted to rewatch it. And to give you an idea, I rewatched it. And then a month later, I rewatched it again to watch with friends. And that long of a movie to rewatch it in that short of a time span, I mean, that speaks for itself. So,
Yeah.
oh,
well,
hello.
I mean, have you all seen?
Inspired.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, another good buddy, Alex. What's up, guys?
What's up, Alex?
Says he can't stay, but he'll catch the replay. Awesome pools. Enjoy.
Nice.
Yeah, thanks, man. Hope you enjoy on the rewatch. But thanks for stopping by. Yeah, always good to see you, or in the chat. But yeah, I mean, have you all seen the entire trilogy? I was gonna say like that non
Yeah.
Does it really matter in like what order you watch it? Because I know obviously
Nope.
they're not
It's
really
like
tied.
even calling it a trilogy to me is very.
Yeah.
I think it's just because it's from the same director and Clint Eastwood's in all of them, but like he doesn't even
Okay.
play the same character in the movies.
No.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Then
So watch
Well,
Good,
my-
Bad, the Ugly first.
all right.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
that's what I would say. Well, I don't know.
Maybe you
I-
actually say that for last because it's like save the best for last. I don't know.
Right.
Okay.
I would say still watch A Fistful of Dollars first, because that it's still
Let me see
it's
which
really
one.
good, but it's
Yeah. I'll probably
It's
just
the
watch in.
yeah.
sorry.
Watch them in order.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say like I'll watch them in order of that they were released. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jackson. Actually, okay. Fistful of Dollars is my least favorite of the trilogy. And when I say least favorite, I'm talking about. Oh wait, sorry. You said sorry. Never mind. You were saying for a few dollars more is the one you really like.
Yeah, I still really like.
Okay,
I still like Fistful of Dollars, but
Same.
it's pretty boring.
Okay.
Not
Yeah,
boring,
like, to give
but
you-
it's way slower. Way
Sorry,
slower.
I
than
mixed that
these.
up. I was thinking you were saying that was your second. So, my bad, Eddie. I was gonna say to give you an idea, Fistful of Dollars for me is a 4 out of 5. For a few dollars more is a 4.5, and then Good, Bad, the Ugly is a 5 out of 5.
Okay.
So it just gets better.
Yeah.
I don't know what the order is though.
And a good follow-up to all of these. Well, I would say don't watch either of Fistful of Dollars or For a Few Dollars More. I'd say watch Once Upon a Time in the West, and then watch Good and the Bad and the Ugly.
Yeah, I was so sad. Once Upon a Time in the West is my number 7. I was so sad that I didn't make this list.
It's so good. That's another one that the first 40 minutes, nothing really happens, but it's still so good.
It's incredible. It solely didn't make the list because everything else that's made the list, I've seen at least twice, and I've still only seen Once Upon a Time and once. And so I'm like, the way I weight my ranking, I like moved it a little lower, but would probably be in the top 5 if I had seen it once I see it again.
Yeah, I've seen that movie like 3 times. I watched that movie as a kid because my grandpa loved
dang.
that movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, those have evaded me for a while. So
It's all good, man.
But well, Bailey shared
Ooh.
her list here, so we can go through it really quickly. So she's gonna say that I guess starting with number 1, Purple Noon.
Great movie.
I haven't seen it.
If you've seen The Talented Mr. Ripley, it's like same story.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen Talented Mr. Ripley, but that's the same story.
I love Talented Mr. Ripley. That's a great movie.
And well, she also has a graduate. I believe mine was number 4. She has it at number 3, and the young girls are. I don't want to butcher that. Does anyone?
I think Rochefort.
Sure.
Okay.
Rochefort,
Breakfast at
yeah.
Tiffany's. Awesome. Nice.
I don't like Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. She just is more of a sentimental pick.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm loving the shout out to The Innocents.
And Breathless. I love Breathless. It's so good. Great pick, Bailey.
Yeah, I mean, you always have those, of course, like more I guess I don't want to say objectively, but objectively better movies. But then you have those that always have that nostalgia factor, or you just had a better experience with it. So that's kind of how I went with this list. I didn't just personal favorites, maybe not everyone's favorites, but they kind of resonated with you.
And great shout out to Persona as well, because Persona is awesome.
And you see both of those.
Have seen that one. I can say that finally.
Have you seen Persona?
Yes.
That's awesome. I need to watch it.
Good movie.
Gus says Purple. Oops, where am I? Purple Noon is his favorite French movie.
Super good. It's a good summer movie too. So if you guys are interested in watching it, I would watch it now.
Right about now.
During the summertime. Yeah. It just you'll see. It takes place at summertime, and it just feels like a summer movie.
Oh, La Piscine. Actually, haven't seen that one.
I need to see that one. I know that one's.
And shout out Breathless.
Yes, Bernardo. We're back on track, buddy. Yes.
Hey, Jackson, do a Brendan Fraser clap. Do you know the Brendan Fraser clap?
Brendan Fraser.
What's that one?
It's the one where he's like he's like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I can't do it. Do you know what I'm talking about, Eddie?
Where's that from, man? I know.
He's
obviously.
He's in the audience of like the Oscars or something, and he's like laughing, and his clap's like it looks so stupid.
I just know the Julia Roberts one.
Oh yeah.
Of that, because she's got all the jewelry on.
I forgot about that one.
Hey.
And then Bailey says that it's an adaptation of Talented Mr. Ripley. So
see, I know my stuff.
Yes, that's why I had to have you guys on here.
I haven't seen it though.
Yeah.
It's made afterwards. I watched the original. Well,
hey, Talented Mr. Ripley, for what it's worth, because I read the book, I think like 3 or 4 years ago. The movie's pretty different. So they do a little bit of deviating from the book, from what I remember. Still a great movie, though.
All right. So shall we move on to the next one?
Yeah, Eddie, what's your number 2?
Yeah, what's your number 2, Eddie?
So my number 2 might be a bit of a controversial take due to the, I guess, director and maybe even subject matter. But as a horror fan, I had to include
Roman Polanski.
Rosemary's Baby. Yes.
So good.
So good. I mean, as a horror fan, you get tired of the cheap jump scares, the tropes, and seeing this later in life. Obviously it wasn't around at the time when it came out, but going back, it's just such a breath of fresh air to watch this movie with this sense of like dread and uneasiness, this feeling of isolation following Mia Farrow's character, going through this I guess I don't know what sort of like, it's like hallucinate. I don't even know the word for it, but it's just like a dreamlike feeling that she's kind of going throughout the movie. And I mean, like I said, it might not be for everybody with some of the, I guess, intense subject matter or sequences, but overall, I think just the acting and this atmosphere that's built, it's just a really effective horror film, and I think very influential for even movies today. I mean, I recently saw one. I don't want to say specifics, just potential spoilers, but recently released horror film was very reminiscent of Rosemary's Baby. So it's even to this day you see it, being very influential. So yeah, I remember getting this after it went out of print. It just popped up on Amazon like for I don't recall.
Keep that sealed, man.
Yeah, really, for real.
Well, I think it's coming back into circulation. I know it got a 4K.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this, but yeah, it's still sealed. Not because I plan to resell it, but because I caught it on streaming and then I bought the Blu-ray. So I just haven't seen
That's like
this
the story of my life.
Blu-ray. Yeah,
yeah. So, I have so many Criterions that were like, yeah, I'll like show a Criterion in a video and be like, "This was a really good movie," and it's like sealed with a sticker. I'm like, I promise I've seen it.
Exactly.
Exactly. I actually had to sell all of my Criterions when I moved out to New York, and Yeah, Rosemary's
So,
Baby actually went for the most. It went for $70 because it had just gone
dang.
out of print. So I got to sell that for $70. Not that I'm proud of selling it for $70.
Eddie's like, that was you? That's who I bought it from? No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
You scalper? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I love Rosemary's Baby, and I like so with Polanski. Yeah, it's a little iffy, but I think anything predating his 70s stuff, because that's when he started going a little crazy. I think I give him a little more credit as being one of the best to ever do it, just because he did that and Repulsion, which Repulsion getting a shout out because if you haven't seen that one, Eddie, it's so good. I think it came out before Rosemary's Baby, and I think that's what got him the green light to do Rosemary's Baby. Um, Also a fantastic, and that one's actually really scary too. There's some really good jump scares in it.
Yeah.
But Rosemary's Baby is really funny. I don't think a lot of people realize that. It's
Was
a really funny movie.
not
Ruth,
expecting that.
yeah, Ruth Gordon.
I haven't seen it. I just like that's I've never heard that.
No, it's really funny. John Cassavetes, he's hilarious in it, but there's a really cool behind the scenes video of the cinematographer on it talking about there's a shot in the movie where Ruth Gordon's character is talking on the phone, but it's framed in a doorway and she's just a little bit outside of the door frame so you don't see her. And the cinematographer was talking to Roman Polanski being like, yeah, don't you think she should be in frame? Like, why are we shooting her out of frame? And Roman Polanski's like, just listen, just hear me out, just do it. And the cinematographer went to the first screening of it, and everybody in the theater was like leaning towards the
Oh
direction
wow.
she's sitting in to like see if they could see her to
That's
see
so
what she was
cool.
saying. So it's like it's one of those kinds of like cool little cinema tidbits of like if a movie's really got their audience, even the camera work can make you just have a physiological response to it where you don't even realize like I want to see who she's talking to. I want to see her face while she's talking. Um, but yeah, I love that movie. So
Yeah. Um, I mean, love that movie. Obviously, made my number two. So yeah, it's due for a rewatch as well. But yeah, I was trying to think like when you said it was funny, I was trying to think like when was it? Like, but I do recall like one moment where it's supposed to be very serious and intense, and then Mia Farrow just says something, and it's like I think it was unintentionally funny. And I don't know if you know what I'm thinking, saying, but it was funny to me in that way sometimes. Just that old dialogue style and things like that.
yeah,
But let's see, catch up real quick on the chat. Bernardo says, "Great pick." Yes, out of Blu-ray. Um, and that's why like, with the Criterion, just like you never know like what's gonna go out of print, what's gonna get a 4K. So I'm always just playing that guessing game, like, oh, should I pick it up? Should I not? Should I wait? Um, Gus says, another one-
yes. Thank you, Gus.
you're a fan of that one, Jackson?
Antonioni, man, that's my favorite Antonioni film. That's a great movie.
No, I think it's on my watch list.
Repulsion actually is on my Criterion wish list.
It's not on my
So
watch list.
um, I really want to pick that one up. And Bailey says she watches it every October. So
It's a great
nice.
pick for
Yes. Yeah, I love watching horror movies during the month of October. So I'm always looking for movies to add to that list.
not a good one to watch during October. Carnival of Souls. That movie's kind of lame.
Oh yeah, that movie's not good.
Yeah, I don't really care
Not a
for
fan
that.
of it.
And then yeah, I'm not gonna try to pronounce these French words.
I
Bailey's
don't.
just setting you up, man. She just wants to
Yeah,
hear it.
I don't really
Yeah, I'm not
like
falling
that
for it.
one. I'm not into that one as much. That's another Antonioni one. That I don't really care for that.
I just really I've never seen any movies from Michelangelo.
Michelangelo
Antonioni.
Antonioni. Yeah. He also
Antonioni.
has another one. I don't know if this came out the 60s or early 70s, but Red Desert. That's also a really great movie. Really
Red
great.
Desert came out in 1964.
Yeah. Red Desert's really good.
Nice.
I will say you got to be appreciative of visual movies because
Yeah.
he does not have a lot of dialogue. La Ventura, yeah, if you don't understand that
the only movie I have on my watch list from him.
yeah, and you know, because the plot is super interesting. Girl just goes missing on a yacht trip that they're all
Mhm.
on, and they're trying to find her. That's maybe 20 minutes of that movie. It's really
Dang.
not about that. So I try to tell people whenever I recommend those movies, it's like it's not the plot when you read about it, don't expect that going in. It's just let the movie go. Just let it happen and you'll enjoy it a lot.
Sweet. All right. So I think we made it to our number one. So let's kick it off. Y'all ready to do this?
I'm going to say right now, I'm not going to spoil Jackson's number one, but I'm going to say his number one. Like I told him he needs to see Gone with the Wind in theaters. I need to see his number one in theaters.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
And because I got to see it in theaters and I got to see it in 70 millimeter, I'm very, very happy about that. It is 2001: A Space Odyssey, Stanley Kubrick. Um, no, you're just
I've been
wrong.
waiting the whole video to do this.
I know you've been waiting. I know you've been waiting. No,
Oh, yeah.
2001, man, that it's in my top 10 of all time. It's probably, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. I don't even want to go into it because I could talk you guys' ears off about it. But yeah, that's just a movie that even from the first time I saw it, I remember watching it. I watched it on a really dinky little 22-inch TV in my bedroom when I was like 13, and I was mesmerized the whole time. And um, yeah, I don't know. It just gets better every time I watch it, and it's super dark, but it's also a lot of cool stuff happening with the sci-fi elements. And I don't think there could I call it a movie that's not really a movie. I think it's genuinely, it sounds cheesy, but I think aliens came down to Earth and just kind of plopped it down, and then they gave credit to all the people who made it and said, "Yeah, these people made it." But I don't even, it's beyond that. It's not even a movie to me. That's like if you watch it in a theater, Nathan, um, you'll get like a true experience out of it because it's three movies in one. It's crazy how it can be that, but it's all the same thing. So yeah, I don't want to keep
I
gushing about
actually, yeah, I do want to see it in theater for the record. Unlike Jackson, who won't even give Gone with the Wind a chance. What gives? But,
I hate
no,
that.
I do want to give 2001 a chance because in theaters because I have seen it once and it was in high school and I was just like, what the heck did I just watch? Why do people like this movie? But my thing is, I was in high school. And so looking back on it, I'm like, okay, was that just because I was younger and I didn't appreciate movies as much? So I want to give it another chance. But actually, I think 3 years ago, I started it, got 20, 30 minutes in, and I was like, I'm just, no, I can't do this. And so I, I, I came to the conclusion that I'm going to watch it in theaters because when I watched it 3 years ago, I was just on my phone and I was like, I can't, like, I want to enjoy, I want to be immersed in this. And when I'm in theaters, I'll be trapped. And so I hate to say that's the reason, but, and also I want to see it in theaters because for obvious reasons, it's the kind of theater movie you want to see.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a big Kubrick fan. I'd even go as far as to say he's like in my top 5 favorite directors, but that's a blind spot for me. I've owned the 4K for several years now, and I've just been hesitant to watch it because I've heard mixed things. I mean, I know it's all-time classic, but it's not your conventional, I guess 3-act, character. Not that I'm not putting any negative. I'm not talking about it negatively in any way. I'm going to watch it. I do want to watch it. I've just been putting it off, I guess you could say.
I prefer Solaris, although it's
Yeah,
not.
that's a great movie.
Yeah,
Still a great
it's
movie.
weird. It's weird that I like, and so that's why I think I might like 2001 on a rewatch because I like Solaris and they're very similar. I mean, not plot wise, but as far as very like intentional on long shots and visual shots, they're very similar in that regard.
And real quick, just going back to the chat, Bailey says that she feels like Laventura is similar to Picnic at Hanging Rock, where it's not about the people going missing, it's about the effects of it on other characters.
I agree with that, Bailey.
Fair.
Absolutely.
You should agree with Bailey's other comment about 2001.
I do not. I will not do that. Gus. Yeah. Hey, Gus.
And some fighting words there, Gus.
No, here's the thing. I get why people, when they first see it, they're not into it, because it's the first 30 minutes, there's no dialogue. It's just kind of craziness, and it doesn't have a lot of dialogue just in general. It's a 2.5 hour movie. There's maybe 40 minutes of dialogue in it. But if you just let it happen to you, like I was saying about La Ventura and a lot of those like visual movies, it's like it just kind of hits you. It's kind of like, I don't know, I kind of compare it to reading philosophy or reading like a really challenging book, where if you don't try to reread the same sentence over and over again, and you just read it once and you just keep reading, even if it doesn't make sense, eventually that sentence will just click in your head and you'll be like, oh, that's what it is. That's what you're trying to say.
It's a good
Even
way
though
of
I don't,
explaining it.
yeah, but I don't even like fully believe that with 2001, because I've seen the movie over 10 times.
Well, that stopped this guy dead in the tracks.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to put it up there.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Fair enough. I don't know. There's something about it that, especially how it came out in 1968, and it was even ahead of its time then. Seeing it again in the theater last year, I was like, oh my gosh, this movie is kind of speaking to right now, and speaking to like technology and AI, especially now with like Chat GPT and all of that. And I sound like an old man. I sound like an typical fart trying to talk about how this movie is relevant now, but it really is, because it's
In my day.
Yeah,
yeah,
back in my day.
and back in my day, we didn't have those Chat BPD or whatever it is.
Chat 3 POs.
Those Chat 3. So dumb. But and the fact that he did it all without a computer, he did it all practically. And if you watch the making of that movie, it makes it even better, because you see what he did with like the sets. They were like 3 inches, like the little like rotating set. They were just like 3 inches tall, but he made them seem like they were out in space, genuinely that huge. I love that movie. I don't want to keep going about it, because I know we got other. But
Let's just leave Bailey's comment on the rest of the video.
That's a good comment, not gonna lie. Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of people agree there. I mean, Bernardo says it's a masterpiece, looks great in 4K. Yes. Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to check it out for sure. It's on there on my list. Bailey shouting out Breathless, and a few Godards there. Yeah, I need to get more into the Godard, into that world, that little corner of cinema. I haven't really explored as much as I would like. But Eli's here with us. Hey, Eli Craig. Is it a friend of yours? Because I don't believe I've seen Eli on the chat before.
Yeah, what's up, Eli? We follow each other on Letterboxd, I believe, and interact with each other live streams and
okay, cool.
YouTube and things like that. So happy you joined, Eli.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for joining here. And he says 2001 is one of his favorite movies. Incredible images and music, and really speaks to man and our relationship with technology, and we need to use them right or they will control us. Interesting perspective there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like if you know what you're getting into with that movie, just knowing what to expect, I guess more from what I can gather, Jackson's description, it's like a lot of visuals and like lingering shots type of thing. So I feel like if you know what you're getting into, I think you can appreciate it for what it is. Okay, so where are we? Number ones, right?
Yeah, my number one. So my number one is Psycho, and that's why I was so hesitant to talk earlier, even though I think I ended up saying everything I wanted to say anyways. But Psycho is, just to reiterate for those who weren't here, I've never studied a movie more than I have Psycho. I've read several books on it, and it's just such a fascinating. I mean, the movie's great, but then the making of the movie is just as great, in my opinion. Thanks, Bernardo, for sharing your number one. Very, but wow, shocking. No, just kidding. No, for real, Bernardo, great choice. But with Psycho, I think what's cool about it for me is I mentioned earlier that I knew the twist even the first time I saw it, but every rewatch, I know how the movie's going to go. But there's still something so eerie about Marion Crane pulling up to Bates Motel, and you see it through the window, the raining window, and you just see the Bates Motel sign, vacancy, no vacancy. I think that I can't remember. Part of the word is the light is out. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So glad to hear you just saw Psycho. Also, good to see you on this video. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. That's such a good movie. It's such a good movie.
It's always hey John, what's going on, man? No, sorry to kind of cut you off, Nathan, but I don't mean to interrupt. But no, it's just always like so cool to get people's opinions on old classic movies, watching for the first time, and their opinions on those older films, especially something like Psycho. I mean, to watch that right now for the first time, like there's movies that I'm jealous sometimes of people getting to experience for the first time.
John, did you know the twist going into it? You should leave a comment. Let us know if you knew the twist. I wouldn't be surprised if you knew it and you still loved it though. But yeah, that was it was kind of funny because when Jackson and I were preparing this list and just talking, because Jackson and I we text pretty much every day about things here and there. We were talking about this video, and it was funny because we were like, well, we know both of our number ones. Like it was no surprise to either of us, kind of thing. But it was still fascinating seeing the ranking leading up to it. And I got to say, I said it earlier, but I was expecting our top fives to all be like identical, and I still don't think any of our lists have. I think the only similarity so far is Jackson's number 2 being Psycho, my number 1 being Psycho. We probably have another thing. I can't think of it. By the way, we don't have the same, so that's crazy. But love Psycho.
And I totally could have included Psycho. I just had a feeling that one of you was gonna mention Psycho, so it probably would have been somewhere around my number 5 or 4. To be honest,
I'll take it.
I just didn't want to have a lot of repeats, but I mean, can't go wrong with that one. It's just a classic. And Gus says he followed you on IG, Nathan. Yeah, and I forgot. And I was about to say, my bad. I apologize. I did this last stream too. I forgot to link your guys' like socials and whatnot. But I definitely follow these guys. Anyone watching, I'm gonna be linking their stuff in the description.
You can comment it
right after. Yeah, throw it in the chat. But I'll definitely be linking their links after the stream. So just be on the lookout for that. Definitely check these guys out. And then Bailey says that she going back to 2001, it is visually stunning. Seen it once, but also not into sci-fi. I recognize it's maybe more adjacent to sci-fi because of philosophical symbolism.
Yeah, it is definitely a sci-fi film, but I agree it's more philosophical because the things they discuss when there is dialogue versus what is shown, especially that first 40 minutes, because I know you haven't seen it, Eddie, so I don't want to ruin anything for you with it. But the first 40 minutes, you have to pick up on what's being given to you visually, and if you're not on board with that, then it'll hinder the experience for you.
And then John replied to your question, Nathan. He says, like me, I also saw the show before seeing the movie. The TV show, I thought that was a great TV show, honestly. I'm not a big TV show watcher, but I did enjoy it. I mean, I don't know from your perspective, since you're such a huge fan of the movie, like me, also a fan of the movie, but not as much as you. So I don't know how you'll take maybe like the liberties it takes or the changes. But I mean, still super entertaining, I thought. And then Bailey says she didn't know anything about Psycho going into it. So afterwards, I realized I had
Mm.
seen references to before. Yeah, I mean,
makes
even the
sense.
most like shocking scene in the movie is one of the most popular posters or images that
Yeah,
you'll see.
totally.
So
Also, I'm trying to comment my usernames and it's not letting me. I think it's because it's detecting it as like spam or something. So you
oh,
just link it in later and um, that's totally fine.
okay. I don't know if you want to drop it in the private chat. I could just like copy and paste them or something.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Hey, Gus. Hey, Scarlett O'Hara. He's kind of a dummy. No,
And then-
All right, I just dropped it
she's
in
all
the
right.
private chat. Oh,
Sweet.
thanks, John. Thank you very much. That was a great experience. One I'll never forget.
Yeah, man, I think I'm so behind on YouTube watching, but that video is on my watch list. I save my videos
Nice.
to watch later.
Dude, yeah, same.
So I'm dropping Nathan's info there. So yeah,
Oh, thank you.
please follow. And Jackson, you can do the same, man. I know. There it is.
I don't remember what my letterbox. Because it was my Twitter attached to it. I think this is it. If it's not, Nate, let me know because I don't remember. But then I deleted my Twitter, and so I don't remember what my letterbox is.
I could probably pull yours up right now.
I don't think I even have you on Letterboxd. There it is. All right. So
Yours is Jax Attacks 99.
Yeah, it's not the one that we just got.
Well, actually, that's at least your name. Let me see if that's your actual like username.
Okay.
That's at least when I click on it. Yeah, it's. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Twitter's Jacksnator99. I think your letterbox is Jax Attacks 99. I can type it in.
Okay, yeah. I haven't shared my letterbox in a very long time with people because people I talk to, they don't watch movies. And I always get on their case because I'm like, you want to be an actor, but you don't watch movies? And they go, I don't know. I don't like watching movies. So
yeah,
his
profile picture is a picture of a cat in a washing machine. So
that's the best picture of all time.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I think the picture you sent me for the thumbnail was better. I'm not gonna lie.
If only that could be included on the list, that would be number one. Madagascar Escape to Africa. It's the best movie of all time.
Oh my
gosh. But speaking of James Stewart, not sorry to go off topic, but
yeah.
recent watch of his that I had maybe about 2 nights ago was Flight of the Phoenix. I was underwhelmed. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I was surprised when that got announced to the collection. I was like, of all the Criterions from James Stewart you could have announced, that's the one you went with, and I own it because I'm got to support my friend James Stewart, but it was just a random announcement when it came out.
I like the remake with Dennis Quaid.
I have not seen it, and I'm probably not going to.
It's random.
Hey, but Breaking Away with Dennis Quaid's really good.
Hey, Breaking Away is one of the best movies of all time. Everybody go watch that movie instantly. It's an all-time classic.
Super good. Except for Carson Bates, Forget You.
Yeah.
Favorite Dennis Quaid movie? Probably The Parent Trap.
Nice.
That was a great movie, though.
That was mine before Breaking Away, solely because I think that's just about the only thing I've seen from him, except for the Day After Tomorrow.
Hey, are we really gonna forget the classic The Rookie?
I never saw it, man.
You never saw The Rookie? That's actually a really good movie.
I saw commercials for it on my Disney VHS tapes or something. I have the Disney DVDs where it's like
close enough.
Now coming soon to own. I don't know, like the Disney DVD
yes,
like
dude.
previews.
Those are the days.
Yeah, I miss those days. I miss DVD menus. That's what I miss.
Oh yeah,
menus and commercials on DVDs. Sorry, Eddie.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Oh no, you're good, man. This is.
I'm like, you haven't even shared your number one. We're like lounging about talking about like our favorite DVDs and stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna cut it off here. I'm actually not sharing my number one.
I
Oh,
gotta know if
man.
it's the Jungle Book or not.
Oh god.
Which, if
Oh
it
man.
was, would not be disappointed. I love that movie.
The original,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah,
didn't like the
yeah,
remake.
Yeah. I had this one in mind, Bernardo. I couldn't think
oh
of
yeah,
the
I've seen
name, but
that. Yeah.
That's a good movie.
yeah.
Masterpiece.
Another-
That is what.
This
What do
is
you think,
how did
Bernardo?
this turn into a Dennis Quaid?
Yeah. What are we
Stream?
doing?
Well, he was
Dennis
born in the
Quaid
60s.
recommendation.
Gosh.
The Dennis Quaid recommendation stream. Uh, but yeah, okay. Let's get to our number one, or my number one.
Yeah, Eddie, you're number one.
And I'll just come on and say Bernardo already said it. It's his number one. I'm just gonna
No
rip the
way.
Band-Aid
That's
off. The
awesome.
apartment.
Oh, wow.
Yes, the apartment.
So earlier,
And,
when Bernardo was saying number one, he was actually saying you're number one. That way, it was differentiating
Yes.
the two. Yeah, he was just looking out for you, man.
exactly. I told you not to say anything.
Something about those Texas guys.
No, but I mean, what can I say about this movie? I mean, Billy Wilder, with each film of his that I watch, he just keeps skyrocketing up my list of favorite directors. His writing, his dialogue, engaging dialogue is just second to none.
So ahead of
And,
his time.
Yeah, absolutely. And just beautifully written. Kind of like, I guess a lot of people consider this a Christmas movie. It takes place during the holidays. For
Yeah.
me, I don't. I mean, I guess I see it. I don't really necessarily think to watch it during Christmas time, but definitely has that heartwarming vibe to it.
Yeah.
Although it can be a kind of going back to our conversation earlier, those dark comedies, those dark themes. There's
Totally.
moments of, I guess not really spoilers, but references to suicide and things of that nature. So some dark moments, but also overall just a heartwarming feel to it with a kind of a love story. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, basically this guy, played by Jack Lemmon, who's fantastic actor, physical comedy, facial expression. It reminds me kind of like of a Jim Carrey type. And he's loaning out his apartment to his superiors from his workplace in an attempt to kind of get ahead in his professional career, trying to get that promotion. So he's doing whatever it takes, and to the point where he's left outside late at night in the cold, sleeping on park benches while his bosses are using his apartment to, essentially be unfaithful to their wives. And as the movie progresses, he kind of has this, I guess, relationship flourish with the actress, Shirley MacLaine's character, who also I think does a fantastic job. And I think their chemistry is just great together. And it's just a really, really nice, heartwarming story. And like I said, just very engaging. And yeah, love that movie. I also actually have this one sealed as well because
nice.
I saw it on streaming, and then I immediately went and found this on I think it was Mercari. But yeah, I mean, what else can I say? I mean, that's pretty much. I mean, I can go on and on. I mean, just also, we said this earlier about Psycho, that black and white choice or decision to have it black and white, I think also adds to that, for me, comforting feeling. A lot of shots obviously in the apartment, and just it just feel like you're kind of there. So
Totally.
yeah, I mean, great movie. I don't know if you guys want to share maybe your experience with it, or
for me, it's a tragedy that it's not even on the top 10. But I love it. It's a movie that's like a 9 out of 10 for me. Everything you said, I honestly, I think you said it perfectly. I have nothing to add. Just want to acknowledge that I love it. I'm sad that it's not on the ranking though.
Well,
how about you, Jackson Stewart?
Shame on you, Nathan. No.
Yeah, I haven't seen that movie since I was 15, so I don't have anything to say really. I remember liking it a lot, but
I remember you liking it a lot too, because I didn't like it. I didn't like it the first time I saw it, and you did.
I think we watched it around the same time.
I think so, yeah. And it was a rewatch for me that I was like, what is wrong with me?
Yeah, and I was like, this is a great movie, but I don't really remember what I loved about it to add anything. I just know that I've always loved Jack Lemmon, and I don't even think that's my favorite performance of his, because that's probably Some Like It Hot. Um, Either that or Glenn Ross, because I love him in Glenn Ross. But
Really good in
yeah,
Grumpy Old Men too. Like, I'm not even saying that jokingly. He's great in that movie.
I
It's a
haven't
great
seen
movie.
that movie since I was little, man. I haven't seen that movie in so long.
It's all
But
good.
yeah, I love Billy Wilder. I think what you were saying, Eddie, about every time you see a new movie from him that you haven't seen before, it just elevates his status as one of the best to ever do it.
Mhm.
Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, yeah, I probably might rewatch The Apartment here in the next week or so, because I was just talking about it, just got
Yes.
me wanting to rewatch it.
Nice.
Yes, yes, and we showing a lot of love for that movie in the chat, so rightfully so. Gus loves Shirley MacLaine. Yeah, I really liked her in that too. John also loves The Apartment, and Bernardo
Yeah,
loves
you're
me.
getting a lot of love in general, Eddie.
Thank you, guys. You know,
Hey, one that we haven't mentioned that I think we're gonna look pretty bad if we don't, and it is in my top 10, but I haven't rewatched it in a very long time, and I don't know if I know Nathan's seen it. He doesn't. I don't know if he cares for it, but I don't know if you've seen it, Eddie. Lawrence of Arabia. I don't know how we
Oh,
haven't mentioned
yeah,
that
no.
movie.
I think
It's
someone mentioned it in the chat. I think it was, I want to say Gus
yeah, it might have been in his
who
top
brought it
five.
up.
It's like for me, Jackson, I saw it in high school and I haven't seen it since, so I just don't remember it. But I
Yeah,
have it at a 4 out of 5 from when I
yeah.
saw it the one time.
I think the last time I rewatched it was during the pandemic, was like within like the first 6 months, I think, of 2020. And that movie's incredible. I love that movie, but it's not rewatchable. It's just it's four
Yeah.
hours, and it's not like Gone with the Wind 4 hours where I'm dreading most of it. But it is a movie that I think the way I remember it is the first 2 hours are probably like one of the best movies I've ever seen. And then that like third hour kind of drags a little bit, and then the last hour is just amazing. So
Yeah,
Doesn't the
sounds
movie
like an
start with a guy like getting in a motorcycle crash or something?
yeah, that's the opening of the movie. Is it's
Okay.
Lawrence's.
I remember something with a match as well. I remember really random stuff from that movie.
Yeah, no, I mean the train scene is incredible. I think the scene where they're going to retrieve the young boy who's stuck out in the desert is incredible.
None of that means
Um,
anything to me. I'm like, I need to watch it,
no,
rewatch it.
we watched it in my film editing class, because we were because it's got some of the best editing ever. But um, I don't think that movie drags at all. I think just like that third hour, when I say like it's not as good, is just like it gets into a lot of like the diplomatic stuff. Is
Mm,
it's like it's just a lot of talking, and because the first 2 hours are so exciting with him going on the mission, him going to see what he's going to fight for, and then him becoming the head of the revolution. So yeah, it's a great movie. It's near perfect. I just think some of the stuff with the diplomatic stuff is um just a little bit on the we were just so exciting. But hey, I mean, it was Spielberg's inspiration to become a
yeah,
filmmaker. Saw it 5 times in a row in a week. So,
that's
and
crazy.
no, Bernardo, I didn't watch Lawrence of Arabia on my phone. I watched it on my iPod Shuffle.
iPod Shuffle. It doesn't even have a screen, right?
The little ones did.
Okay, I was like, is that the one without the screen? You're like listening to it. You're like, I think a guy just got in a motorcycle crash.
I think I hear a motorcycle. I don't know.
Oh my
Uh,
god.
I
Yeah,
threw in a few shout outs for other movies that I didn't mention randomly.
yeah. Yeah, I was gonna get to that in a second, but real quick, I just want to highlight some
Oh
comments
yeah.
from the chat. Yeah, Sound Like It Hot is great. I actually, in my 50 stream that previously, this wasn't a lot of our list. I think we all on the panel had this movie on our list. So
Hmm.
great
Yeah,
movie, great comedy. Um,
it is.
Gus agrees, and he's saying that well, now he's unfollowing. So
I, I still love Lawrence of Arabia.
Yeah.
just picturing like your follower count just go up and down throughout the entire stream, like one, and it's just Gus hitting that button.
Whenever someone tells me they're gonna unfollow me, which oddly enough happens more than you think. Well, actually, okay, that doesn't happen a lot, but I always think of the line from Spider-Man 3 where he's like, "Good riddance" to Sandman. It's like the really dramatic "good riddance."
See you later, chump.
It's pretty high on Bernardo's list there. And he
Mm.
says it's coming back to theaters. So, that would be an
Oh.
experience.
That might be the way
I
I
want
go
to
rewatch
Yeah,
it.
no, I want to see it in theater. Is it for like an anniversary thing? Because that means it'll probably be
Oh, it's probably it's
everywhere.
turning 60 this year. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Okay,
That
if it's in
sounds-
theaters like nationwide, I'm gonna do that too.
Yeah, that sounds like a great experience.
Even though living in New York, they show Lawrence of Arabia once a month, and I don't know how I haven't seen it yet. So I'm just an idiot.
And then I'll come back to your shout outs in a minute, Nathan. But
Oh yeah.
Guess and Raisin are great too, Nathan. Gus says.
Mm-hmm.
And then we kind of already talked about that comment. Bailey, haven't seen Lawrence of Arabia yet, but I think David Lean is an excellent director.
That he is.
Yeah, the only other David Lean movie that I saw recently was Summertime, which I wasn't huge on. I was
Not a big fan.
Yeah.
I sold it.
I love Brief Encounter. I love.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
What's the other one that he did? Blythe Spirit with Rex Harrison from My Fair Lady.
I've heard of it. I just haven't seen it.
Really great movie. Really funny.
It's on the watch list.
It was on the Criterion box set of David Lean directs Noel Coward.
Oh, okay. And Bridge on the River Kwai is really good too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I don't have any gushing about Lawrence of Arabia. I think I like Bridge on the River.
Yeah, screw Lawrence of Arabia. Yeah, me too. And that's from 1957, which further proves my point. I have this take that I think 1957 is the greatest year ever for movies. Just adds on to it.
Bridge won for Best Picture, right?
It did, which funny enough, I see why it won, but it wouldn't have been my choice. I would have chosen 12 Angry Men or Witness for the prosecution, but again, that year was incredible. So
I would probably still pick Bridge on the River Kwai because I think the last 20 minutes of that I think the last 20 minutes of Bridge on the River Kwai is just that's perfect filmmaking, and you
it's
can watch that.
It's a more Best Picture like movie. So I see it, but I just like 12 Angry Men more.
Okay, and then lastly, Tiana also joined the stream.
Oh,
so
hey Tiana, nice timing.
Yeah, we just all shared our top 5. So hopefully, Tiana, you were watching, or you can always catch the replay also. And once again, guys, these guys' links are in the comments, and I will be linking them in the description also. But all right, I'm gonna go ahead, and I wanted to also briefly talk about some maybe some honorable mentions. Like I know we were talking about our number 10s, number 8s, number 6, but are there some other films that you wanted to bring to their attention? Nathan, I know you have some. You want to talk about those?
I think so those 3 that I mentioned, those were at least the ones that didn't ever come out during the video, but the other ones that came out throughout the video, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, I agree with Jackson, it's my number 6. Once Upon a Time in the West is incredible. Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, and Charade. Those are all the ones. Like I have my top 12 list on Letterboxd. I always do top 12s just because the formatting on the app looks better to have 12 instead of 10. You know what I mean? But those are the 12 that the other 7 I would mention that didn't make the top 5.
Cape Fear, is that because I've seen the
Martin Scorsese one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are there?
Yeah, so it's that one's a remake of this one.
Okay.
This one has Gregory Peck and Robert Mitchum.
Yes. Okay,
and it's actually like really impressive for how chilling it is. It was made in 1962, and it's creepy.
It's really good. I just watched it for the first time the other night on Nate's recommendation.
Yeah. Jackson was trying to watch the movies preparing for this, and I was like, Cape Fear should be one of them.
Yeah. I want to say Easy Rider. I want to give that a shout out. That's a great movie.
Haven't seen it.
Also want to say Lolita by Kubrick.
Oh yeah, you like that one.
I love Lolita. I think I don't even care if it's a controversial plot. That's the point of the movie. I think there's a lot to be said about it. And I haven't read the book, but I want to read the book just because I saw the movie and I was like, wow, this is incredible. And it's got my boy James Mason. He's like my favorite actor. So
You like that guy.
I love that guy.
Hey, having James as your favorite actor is a cool thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Especially if his name is Marsden.
Yeah, or Corden.
Yeah, I've seen Easy Rider, but I wasn't big on it. I liked the soundtrack though. That was good. It was a fun
Soundtrack
time.
is great in Easy
And Jack
Rider.
Nicholson, when he comes out, he stole the show. But aside from that, I wasn't too big on it. But I respect your opinion.
Yeah, I also love there's some Bond movies from the 60s. I love Goldfinger.
Yeah, there's so many
Goldfinger's
great ones. It's like, and then Bailey
Oof.
actually says she enjoyed Summertime. So, yeah, I mean, I don't
And now
know.
I'm
It's
watching
just,
it. Based on Bailey's recommendation, I'm watching Summertime.
No.
I mean, you should, I guess, form your own opinion. But I mean, I respect that, Bailey. You know, but personally, I guess I don't know, Nathan, what didn't do it for you, but I just wasn't intrigued in the overall story. I didn't really care for the characters or anything that was going on. Really, the only thing that caught my eyes was just, again, the background, the setting.
Really pretty movie.
Yeah,
I'm not a
colorful.
big fan of Katharine Hepburn, which is funny because I put Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, but I know, I'm not a big fan of her. And I even I think I even said this on my review for Summertime, but if it was like Audrey Hepburn, I would have liked it way more. So I think it really was a movie starring her that I just didn't like it as much.
What about Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, though? Do you like her in that?
No, that's what I was saying. Like in my yeah, I do like her in that, but she's not the main character.
I know it's Sidney Poitier, but come on.
She's good in that too. Like, I don't know. I think it's her voice, man. Her voice just kind of annoys me.
But Kate Blanchett does such a good impression of her in The Aviator, and that's a great performance.
Yes, she does, and I was annoyed of her voice then too.
A lot of great movies here.
Hey, Bernardo, you're not telling me anything new by saying you love Katharine Hepburn. A lot of people do. I realize that it's a hot take. Also, The Trial is an awful movie.
I mean, I'm with you there, Nathan, about Hepburn. So you're not alone.
Yeah.
The
Trail is
Trail?
a great masterpiece.
It means The Trial. I read it and I was like, what is he talking? And it's The Trial.
Wait, is that
talking
the
about
It's the Anthony Perkins, Orson Welles movie.
Orson Welles? Oh, okay.
Oh, that's based on the Franz Kafka book. You got to read that book. That book is hilarious.
No thanks.
That's like, come on, just think about it. Like, it sounds like it's a messed up thing, but it's so funny because it's like a guy who didn't do a crime. He gets arrested for it, and then he's put on trial for it, and then he starts to believe that he did it, so he starts confessing to it. Like, that's hilarious.
Actually is really funny, but the movie was complete bonkers, and I was like, "This is." I did not like it at all.
The book is hilarious. It's bonkers.
Have you seen the movie though? The movie's just it's so weird. Like, it's like, I like weird movies, but this is just it's just so weird. It's so strange. And this was before all you cool hipsters saw on the Criterion. I watched it a few years ago on some random website where the quality was awful and it had no subtitles, so I couldn't understand half the things that were being said. So maybe it was the experience, but also I can't deny that it was just a weird, like, at one point he's like in this room and the people are watching him through this fence. I can't even explain. I can't even explain it. I can't even remember it. I just remember it being really weird. And Anthony Perkins' performance is weird. Sorry, I'll stop. I'm just going to stop. Look what you did to me, Bernardo. Don't ever do that again. I hate The Trail.
Oh, man. And Bailey makes an interesting point here regarding Summertime. She doesn't think that Audrey could have done the yearning, longing, and sadness in the same way as Katharine, but she loves them both. I mean, makes sense. I can see that. But...
Not my Hepburn.
And he watched it on the Studio Canal.
Okay. Yeah, but when did that Studio Canal come out? Because I watched it in 21. I'm all acting cool. It was like 3 years ago.
Oh, he brought up Bernardo brought up The Great Escape.
Oh yeah, that's a great movie.
Great movie.
Great movie.
Also another great one with this doesn't have Steve McQueen, but Manchurian Candidate.
Well, that movie's crazy, especially the first like 15, 20 minutes.
I know.
Insane.
You know, it's actually I prefer the remake with
I've
Denzel.
not seen. I love Denzel. You know me. I wrote a
Yeah.
report on him in first grade. I love that
and
guy.
you got to use the word sexy.
Okay, well now I got to give context.
Yeah.
So in first grade, we had to write. I think it must have been Black History Month. I don't remember why, but we each had to write an essay, I guess, on a famous Black person. And I was given Denzel Washington, and my dad helped me write it because I didn't know who Denzel Washington was. But I remember, like, as I learned more about him, I was like, hey, this guy seems really cool. I want to see more of his movies. But at one point in the essay, I think I was quoting some report or something, but I got to say that Denzel's like really a good actor and he's nice and he's sexy. And I felt so cool as a first grader reading that out loud in my presentation to the whole class, saying the word sexy. I thought it was amazing.
Oh man, well you're not wrong.
I know. I stand by it today. Denzel, if you're watching this, I still stand by it.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh my god. Okay. All right. So we're gonna start wrapping this up because again, I don't want to keep you guys. I already kept you for 2 hours, but
It's been
Jackson. Yeah, for sure, man. This has been really fun. But I guess before we go, Jackson, I know we've been all throwing out some different movies, but any like movies that barely didn't make your list that we haven't mentioned, like an honorable mention, before we go? Maybe one more.
Um, for my foreign fans out there, I'll just go 8.5. Nope, Nathan, you don't count. Or you know what? To get Nathan back, I'll go Akira Kurosawa, Yojimbo.
I haven't seen it.
I don't think I've seen that one. No.
I don't know.
yeah.
Let me double check.
Kurosawa Waba. You said his name wrong.
No, I think. Okay, 61. All right, I was close. Yeah, I thought it was a 50s movie for a second, and I got scared. But no.
Did Akira come out in the 60s? I like that movie.
Here's another Kurosawa. Bernardo says high and low.
Oh yeah.
Akira was 52.
One that I wanted to watch leading up to this stream that I didn't get a chance to is Harakiri, or I don't want to.
Oh yeah, but I haven't seen it either.
Yeah, that's a good one. I haven't seen the full thing since high school, but I got to rewatch the first half of it for a film class, and I was like, yeah, this movie's sick.
Sweet. I can't go wrong with Kurosawa. And I'll just briefly mention just two. I know we've already talked about a lot of the big hitters, but as I mentioned earlier, big horror fan of the zombie genre, so have to give it up to Night of the Living Dead. Filmed on a very low budget, and of course George Romero, all-time great. So yeah, great movie. Kind of this like one location type zombie movie. And a somewhat recent Criterion release that I had never heard of, but was actually a big surprise to me, and I really enjoyed it. And that's this Peter Bogdanovich Targets.
That is on my watch list. I have a friend. We do movie trades, and I traded up. Like I watch a movie, he watches a movie, and the movie he gave me was Targets. So I need to watch it soon.
Yeah, it stars Boris Karloff, sort of on the tail end of his career. It in a way mirrors his stage in life at the time, actor on his way out, playing these trying to get these roles in Hollywood. Hollywood kind of outgrown him in a way, and but at the same time deals with I guess you can call him a serial killer, living in the world that we live today with all these, I don't even know the words to say it, but these shootings and whatnot. It just kind of hits close to home in a way, unfortunately, but it's still relevant. Movie from 1968, and yeah, just pretty intense all the way through. So good movie.
Might have to watch it tonight.
Yeah, for sure. I would recommend it. And I think Bernardo, he's talking about Akira Kurosawa's Harakiri here. But yeah. All right. So I think that's gonna do it, guys. I mean, that was a blast talking 60s movies again. Thanks for joining. And anyone watching, I know a lot of you were here since the beginning, so we really appreciate you guys joining in and talking to us in the chat. That was a really fun time. And any new viewers coming in from, Nathan or Jackson, friends of theirs, thanks for uh, joining here. And one more comment here, Bernardo, not directed by Kurosawa. Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. I don't know why I was thinking it was. Harakiri is not a Kurosawa film. You're right.
It's a George Lucas one.
Yeah, my mistake. Yeah, I don't know why I was thinking it was. I think I was thinking of
hey, none of us caught you, so we're all in the same boat.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I guess all that talk of Yojimbo and High and Low, and I was thinking, I don't know.
Mm.
Anyways, all right. Like I said, one more time, I'm gonna link everyone's info in the description as soon as this is over. But do you guys want to just briefly kind of say a few words, like what your channel's about, or if you don't have a channel, I don't know, Jackson, I don't believe you have a channel, but just kind of any like final words or anything. Nathan, I'll start off with you. Any like final words? Kind of give yourself a quick shout out.
Yeah, sure. I talk about this kind of content all the time on my channel. I rethemed the channel a little over a year ago, I would say, to focus specifically on classic Hollywood. And so if you like this kind of discussion, then pay me a visit on Maple Street. We have a lot of fun conversations there. And then also on the sideline, I do a Hunger Games simulation series where I throw 24 movie characters into the Hunger Games and see who comes out on top. That new season is coming out. It was supposed to come out yesterday, but I'm still editing it. So it'll be coming out next week. The theme is heroes versus villains. And I got to tell you, it's going to be a blast. I think you'll all really like it. So head over to my channel to check that out.
Awesome. Yes. Definitely. If you haven't seen Nathan's content before, I would definitely recommend it. I've been watching his stuff for a while and always love watching Nathan's videos. So thanks for the content, man. Yeah, man. Absolutely. No, thank you for all those hours of entertainment. Appreciate it. And Jackson, I don't know but I know you got an Instagram, which I'll be linking, but anything else you got going on or anything you want to say before we go?
No, I don't have a YouTube channel, but I loved being on the stream with you guys. This was a lot of fun. Definitely go check out Nathan and Eddie's channels. Definitely give them a follow. If it weren't for this movie tube, I don't know what it's called now.
Whatever they call it these days.
Whatever they call it these days, the youngins. But if it weren't for that, I wouldn't have met Nathan. So
that's true. Yeah, very true.
Yeah, very grateful for the platform to get to meet and share and connect with new people, especially like Eddie now. This is great. And just keep watching those classics, y'all. That we don't get movies like we used to. So let's make sure that we keep those alive.
Man.
Yes. All right, guys. Well, thanks everyone once again, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their evening. And we'll catch you next time. Take care. See you guys.
See ya.